Welcome, everyone, to Conversations, the show where I interview people from all walks of life. It's pretty much the gist of the show. This is the third episode, and I am beyond excited. The guest I have on here today, it's a wonder I was even able to land him. I'm frankly, I was overwhelmed when he agreed to do this because I always imagined what it would be like to interview this guy, but I never thought I'd actually be able to do it. But now that he's here, I'm expecting a lot of closure. This is a infamous, illustrious, notorious, renowned, revered, feared person. This guy. So many adjectives to describe him. People, I am delighted to present an interview with the one, the only, Mools. Mools?
Wait, what?
Yes, you.
No.
No, yes, you.
Who's the real guest? Who's the special guest?
You are the special guest.
Oh, man.
In akin to the twist presented by Vince McMahon in the late 90s, it was me, Austin. It was me all along. But in this case, it was you, Patreon and public. It was you all along. Now, before the booze start, before the booze and the fruits and tomatoes, is a tomato a fruit? It's a fruit, right?
It's a fruit.
Okay, before y'all start throwing them things, I do honestly believe this is a special guest. Although he has been my co-host on this show, he has been my co-host on pretty much every show on my Patreon. He has been the executive producer for my career since 2016. I felt like this was important to do because when it comes to Mools, you know, being in that executive producer role, a lot of his job is off camera. It's behind the scenes. It's doing the things that you guys aren't going to hear that much about. And, you know, we've been opening up recently by way of the Patreon and the content there. But the truth is, y'all don't really know Mools. I mean, you got This Is Melvin. There is no This Is Mools, you know? And this Mools, you've been hearing me talk about this Mools. It's like, I'm sure people look at me and they're like, yo, you know, you've changed, bro. You're not even rapping anymore. What's this I hear about you not making music at all now, maybe? And you just started calling yourself Mel out of nowhere. You never called yourself that. And you're always talking about this Mools. This Mools. We're tired of this Mools. Is Mools the guy that we have to blame for all this? And I wanted to interview Mools because, you know, I don't want to always be that guy defending Mools. Mools has a voice. Mools is a whole person. Mools is Mools. And it's about time y'all hear from the man himself.
Well, let's really, if you really want to hear from Mools, why don't they hear from Lyle?
Exactly. Great idea. People, Mools.
My name is not Mools. That's a nickname of a nickname.
Nickname of a nickname, yes.
Or a nickname derivative of a rap name.
Right. And we'll get into that. Because I got a slate of questions here. But yeah, let's pull back the curtain even more. Let's just rip the curtain down.
Mools, this is Lyle and Melvin.
Yeah, Lyle and Melvin. Yeah. The personalities are off. Not that the personalities we've been presenting all this time have been not authentic, but
I don't give you that much of a hard time in real life about your disgusting behaviors.
Right. You know, and we're pretty candid on, the Patreon and a lot of the newer content.
But this is candid, I think, than we've ever been.
Yeah, but I
quite
think
frankly.
this is truly the conversation that I want people to hear, because I want to give you the floor to really discuss who you are,
Mhm.
not just in relation to this operation, to this partnership and what we've been doing all these years, but just who you are. Because I feel like for the reverence that you get from like the likes of, say, my fan Dan Wolf, or the grief that you get from some of my friends and associates, it's not fair because they don't know you. Um and this is important to discuss who you are. It's not Moles but Lyle.
Mhm.
This is a Lyle and Melvin conversation. Um
Well, I just have to say, nothing is off limits. You can ask me anything. I mean, literally anything.
well, I plan to. I
If I
plan
get,
to
if
get
I feel like I don't want to answer something, I won't answer it.
right. Well, here's the thing. I plan to My goal with this interview is to really give you the floor and give you this room to sort of explain who you are and where you're coming from, and what all of this means to you. Um
Well,
because the
thank you for having me.
Oh, well, it was difficult to secure you, but I'm glad I was able to.
It's not difficult to secure moves, but getting Lyle on the line is difficult.
It's different. It's difficult. It actually is difficult. It's different than getting wolves.
So let's go, man.
Oh yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go right now. Uh so yeah, you've given Mel the green light to ask the tough questions. Um I must warn you, this is not going to be a Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel sort of deal. I mean, I will give you a chance to plug certain things, but we didn't discuss this backstage. This is all happening live. I'm the interviewer
Full
here.
disclosure, I knew I was going to be interviewed for this. I don't know what the questions are.
Right.
And I've
We're
provided very little conjecture on my end to direct those questions. So it's really whatever is on Melvin's mind. So
right. Well, I want to start before I ask the first question. The significance truly of this is that I think it'd be fair to say, like, you're not a particularly public person. You're not like out and about and always sharing details of your life and posting on Instagram or doing this or doing
I don't
that.
like talking about my life that much.
Right.
I like
And that,
talking about my work, but not my life.
right. So you're private by choice. So this really is an interview. You know,
And
this is meant
I've given interviews in the past. I've given like in terms of long form podcast interviews in some respects. I've given like three or four. None really cover very much other than what I'm there to promote at that very moment.
right.
So
Well,
this is hopefully this will either be the definitive interview or this will be the interview I'm going to try to get people to like not watch or not listen to.
well, I'm gonna try to do my job as an interviewer here. So let's get into this. My first question is not who is Moles, but who is Lyle? Where did you come from? Not just your literal birthplace, but how did you get to this point? Take me through the evolution of your career. Take them through the evolution of your career. How did you get to the point of being Moles, executive producer of the Melvin Burch operation from wherever it is that you started?
Okay. Well, um, I was born in '87. I was born in Manhattan, New York. You might have heard of it.
Oh, you old.
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
getting
sorry.
there for
Sorry,
sure.
that was the spirit of these of Lil Uzi Vert. He jumped out.
So
Sorry. Continue.
yeah, I was born in '87. I was born in Manhattan, and we moved to Long Island when I was 3 or 4 years old. And significant event that I don't want to get too deep into, but my mom passed away at 6 years old, living in Long Island. And by the time I was 7, my stepmother, who is still with my dad to this day, came into our life. And then after my mom passed away, we eventually moved. And sometime in like 94, 95 is when I first made like contact with hip hop.
Okay, so what would that be? Around 7, 8 years old?
Yeah. Um, first thing I really like, first thing I can remember, but it didn't hook me, was seeing the video for Big Papa by Notorious B.I.G. on MTV. I don't know if it was on like Beavis and Butthead, and that's how I saw it, or if it was on that sometimes on like Saturday mornings or Sunday mornings they would run videos.
Okay.
You know, they used to play videos on that channel, and that video was in the mix. Like, I knew rap was a thing, but it didn't hook me yet. Then my grandparents got a computer with Windows 95, and I heard The Message by Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. I was looking up in the Encarta dictionary, which was like not a dictionary, sorry, the Encarta encyclopedia on the Windows 95 computer, looking up like New York or the Bronx or something, and I stumbled upon hip hop. So this thing that I was vaguely familiar with now has a name.
Okay.
And there's a 2-minute audio sample. So it wasn't the whole song, but I heard some of the message.
Now,
And
you're saying this was in like 95?
yes,
So,
that
um,
was the example in the encyclopedia for hip hop.
now are you speaking about like one of the physical like that comes
No,
like
no, it's in the computer. It's a computer program.
Oh,
It's
okay.
in computer encyclopedia,
Okay, got it.
but it's like a program. Like there's video and audio in it.
Okay, because I was like, I know there's no way you were streaming audio.
No, no, this was something called Encarta 95,
Okay.
and it was a computer program which was an encyclopedia.
I think it's pretty interesting that they already had like an entry on hip hop. It's still a
Well,
pretty young genre at that time. I mean, still a young genre.
yes, but it was like the message had come out in 82. So, you know, and that wasn't the year hip hop was born, you know. The first hip hop album that I'm personally familiar with came out in like 79. And I mean, you had Cool Herc at the parks doing that shit even before that. But, you know, just not to get off subject here, but yeah, they had a 2 minute and change snippet of the message. And the lyrics were really like interesting to me. I
Broken
liked
Glass.
everything about it, actually. I liked the beat. Like, it hooked me. That song literally made me a fan of rap.
Well, that's not a bad place to start.
And it had a name, too. It's like, okay, hip hop. Okay.
Right.
What do
So
I know? I'm like 7, 8 years old, you know?
right. So you hear this man talking about broken glass everywhere, and you know he's close to the
Don't
edge and all
don't push me because I'm close to the edge. And I mean, for a kid who just lost his mom, don't push me because I'm close to the edge resonated in a way that it probably shouldn't for someone my age.
that. Right.
But you know, by you know way of that circumstance in my life, I had to grow up fast. So keep that in mind.
Right.
I continue on like I'm just a kid, man. Like nothing special, you know. We moved to another town in Long Island still, and I make friends, and you know, I like other stuff. I don't just like rap. I don't just like music. I like movies, like horror movies, especially. I like comic books. I like video games. You know, I was a normal. I mean, despite the fact that I had gone through like a traumatic instance in my life,
Right.
I was still like relatively, you know, also like an only child, but as well adjusted as a only child who lost their mom at a young age could possibly be, I think.
Right.
And you know, I never stopped listening to music. I remember one year, like my dad bought me CDs for my birthday. Like he took me to, I think it was like HMV Records in Manhattan,
Okay.
and he let me buy like some CDs. And I remember that was when I bought uh, Batman Forever soundtrack. You know, this is like I'm starting to get into music a little bit.
Okay.
Like I'm getting into different stuff too. Like I listen to the Batman Forever, and I mean, you've got like Method Man on there, and you've got The Offspring. So I'm getting a bunch of shit. Plus MTV is like at its peak, arguably. You know, I'm seeing videos for like Smells Like Teen Spirit, California Love.
Right.
So I'm coming into music appreciation. And I just, you know, I go through the motions, dude. Like, I mean, we could skip ahead quite a bit now. I took a music class in seventh grade.
I as well. A music appreciation class. I got the highest
This
score.
was not music appreciation. This was like keyboard, like learning how to play the keyboard.
Ah, okay.
So we all had like little Casio keyboards. And this is relevant because we had a final. So
Okay.
the final for this class was we had to essentially perform a little piano keyboard recital. I think it was like Jingle Bells or something like that. We had to play on the keyboard.
You all individually had to play it.
Yes,
So that teacher subjected themselves to like dozens of renditions of Jingle Bells.
I guess. Yeah. Um, However, I didn't do Jingle Bells.
Ah.
Number one, I'm Jewish. I don't even know about that Jingle Bells. Okay, it's not relevant to me. You know, that would be like me trying to teach, you know, someone who's not Jewish like the dreidel song, and making them perform it for me. It's weird.
Fair
Like
enough.
it's not relevant to them. So number one, it's like some shit I definitely don't care about. And you know, as it turns out, I realized pretty quickly in this class that this keyboard is capable of making beats.
Uh okay.
So I played like this really like wacky beat for my teacher in lieu of doing the actual final assignment. I just played him this wacky beat with like it had honk, 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 like all this crazy stuff in it.
Okay.
And I'll never forget this, bro. He just yelled out demeanor, demeanor, demeanor. I don't even know what that means to this day, but he yelled that out, and then he kicked me out of the class. You know,
Demeanor,
like me,
like DEAMO.
I don't know,
Wow, I can't
demeanor,
spell
demeanor, demeanor,
so.
and like it was such a big like this big like freaking. He's hated, you know, he hated me ever since because he eventually moved on to being like the theater guy at our high school.
Oh man. So this guy
So
follows you.
yeah,
Also, I need to correct myself. DEMEANOR. I believe that's demeanor. But
what does that mean?
well, demeanor is
I
like
know what a demeanor is, but like, what is that in the
right.
sense
Why
of
would
me?
he say that in that context? Like, is he trying to say like fix your demeanor, like in this class?
I don't know, but to this day, I'll never forget that. And that was like kind of a weird moment for me because at that point, I was just like, I assume I have no musical talent whatsoever. Like, I was enrolled in a guitar lessons and stuff at the
Okay.
time. My parents wanted to see if maybe I'd take to guitar. And again, it's like the Jingle Bells paradox. Like, I don't want to learn this garbage that you're trying to teach me. This Jingle Bells or this rudimentary stuff. Like, I'm not that kind of person where it's like, let's start off at Jingle Bells. Like, nah, let's start off at like freaking, you know, like Steely Dan, something difficult.
Okay.
Like, I want to do something cool. Like, I don't want to do some freaking Mary Had a Little Lamb on the guitar. That's not cool.
Right.
So I just assumed, like, all right, I don't have musical talent.
Okay. Okay.
So then there's a big gap, right? I would say, like, between seventh and 11th grade, there's a big gap. No music. I'm listening to it.
But you're not creating it or even close to doing that.
No, not even thinking about music in that manner.
Okay.
And then 11th grade, I start like freestyling.
Okay.
Because at this point, in 11th grade, my love for wrestling has sort of faded a little bit. I gotta remind you, 11th grade for me is like 03, 04.
Right.
So my love affair with wrestling is fizzling out a little bit at the time.
Fizzling out alongside the actual product itself sort of going through a change. So,
Yeah.
coming
And
out of that
to be honest,
attitude era.
I was bullied relentlessly, especially in middle school and freshman year of high school for being a wrestling fan. And I was fine with like kind of like letting that fade away a little bit because I was sick of the ridicule. So, people, you have to understand, like, people were always shocked to find out that I liked rap.
Even like with you being a young kid from like New York, like the mecca of hip hop.
Yeah, because I didn't dress like someone who listened to rap.
Okay. Right.
I dressed in like Rob Zombie shirts and Iron Maiden shirts and stuff like that, and like wrestling shirts. Like, I dressed like a redneck, basically, when I was a kid. I dressed like a little redneck. And nobody would assume that, like, I liked rap. But, my friends, Shah and Ralik and David, they all knew I liked rap. But I didn't present myself as someone who would listen to rap. Based on people who saw me, they always said, I thought you were a rocker.
Right.
And that's not really the case. It's actually never really been the case. I just like I like the look better. Like, I like the skulls and the monsters and all that stuff. Okay. So I hope I'm answering your question. But basically, that we had like a school like poetry jam sort of deal.
Okay.
Talent show thing called Lyric and Latte. And it was like something that would happen twice a year on a Friday night after school, where essentially the biggest like geeks and art school type kids came together in the English department to like put on a little talent show concert sort of thing. And I wrote a song to a Pete Rock beat off of Surviving Elements Part 2.
Pardon me, that was my phone.
So I wrote a rap to this beat, and I performed it at school, and it was like shocking to people because they had no idea that I could even do that stuff. Only my friends ever even heard me freestyle.
I can relate.
So it was like completely shocking to them that that's what I went there to do. And then I came back 6 months later at the next Lyric and Latte, and I did another song. So I'd say the first time I ever started writing raps, like with the intent to perform them or record them or anything like that, was in
11th grade.
11th grade, 2004. And then it continued into senior year. Where I did a song with Shah, actually. We both wrote verses. But like, you don't understand. I'm rapping like literally like KRS-One. And no disrespect, but like, you know what I'm talking about. Like that very like simple, like meat and potatoes, A-B rhyme schemes, nothing impressive. Like basically I'm rapping like you would expect a Jewish white kid from Long Island to be rapping.
Right. So like maybe one step past like, but still in the realm of like.
Definitely better than like, my name is Mools and I'm here to say. Like it was definitely like more like, almost like, okay, he's been listening to a lot of like NWA, Public Enemy, KRS-One, like real like old school, like even like Run DMC.
Okay.
I wouldn't say like earlier than that, but like definitely what I would call like very rudimentary bars.
Okay.
And also like complete with like utter fabrications and lies, such as I push so much coke, call me Citizen Kane.
Is that a hard bar or am I tripping?
Not for me, it's not. But anyway, so that's like where it started for me. And then it kind of died down for a little bit when I graduated.
Okay.
Like I kind of wanted to DJ actually. So
Okay.
David and I started a DJ business and we bought like speakers and we bought like all this shit. A turntable, like CD turntable, record turntable. You know, we started like actually like getting flyers printed up and doing shows, not shows, but like, you know, nights, club nights, if you will, in Long Island. And through that, I met some rappers that I did some club nights with, you know. In 2004, also, I joined the okplayer.com message boards. So, you know, that actually, you know, if you know like Deezus and Mero, like Deezus is someone who I know from OK Player. Um, all these different artists, like Little Brother, kind of got their start on OK Player. So there's, you know, Von P and Tanya Morgan and all the Legendary and all those people. Like it was definitely a breeding ground for talent. Like just a lot of things were popping off from OK Player at that time. And 2006, 2005 rather, summer of 2005, I get a job at Def Jam through OK Player, like through this guy Bill Brainchild, and Bill was looking for like summer interns and people who could do like street team stuff for Def Jam. So through my connection with OK Player and posting on those message boards, I had the opportunity to work behind the scenes on the marketing and promotional stuff for Late Registration by Kanye West, What the Game's Been Missing by Joel Santana, not Run DMC, Reverend Run album from '05, what else? Release Therapy by Ludacris, Port of Miami by Rick Ross.
Is that the Ludacris album where he had
cut his dreads?
Yeah. Okay.
All the way up until the Game Theory album by The Roots. So like literally from June, July of '05 until like August, September of '06, I'm doing work with Def Jam.
Okay.
But I still have no designs on being an artist myself. Honestly, I was doing it for access because, for instance, I had the opportunity to go to the Late Registration album release party.
Okay.
You know, which, funny enough, that album had leaked the night before, so I'd heard it already. But, you know, it granted me access to these things. And I wanted access. I wanted promotional materials. I was like a really big fan.
Right.
You know, I wasn't
you
like...
were in there as a fan of hip hop, not so much trying to get your foot in the door.
I wasn't thinking... Now, at the time, I'm like, yo, you're such an idiot. Like, if you would have stuck around and, like, not quit for a dumb reason, which I don't want to get into, but, like, I quit. Like, there could have been an opportunity for me waiting on down the line. Like, who knows? But I was a fan. Like, I was literally like, yo, this is a dope job because I get, like, Kanye West calendars and posters and, like, Rick Ross t-shirts and, like, The Roots, you know, like, freaking t-shirts and posters. And, like, that's what I was in it for. Because at the time, I was working as a photographer. Okay. So I was already making money. I was like, dude, I don't fucking care. Like, I work as a photographer, and then I come in the city during the, like, on the weekdays during the week to, like, go here and, you know, sit in a meeting and talk about marketing materials and go out and go to different record stores in the city and hand them stuff to post up around the stores and stuff like that. Nothing crazy. Mm-hmm. You know, of course, like, I had to take pictures of my work and send it to them so they knew I wasn't just, like, taking all the promotional materials. But I was not in it to, like, get a job in the industry. I had no idea in my mind the building. I was like, bro, I was walking into the Universal Music Group in Uptown Manhattan. And, like, I had clearance. My name was on the books, you know? They looked me up and they gave me my badge. Like, I was walking in and out of that building. And this was at the time that Jay-Z was, you know, supposedly the president of Def Jam.
Right.
So I'd always ask, like, where's Jay? They say he's upstairs. He's one floor above you. Like, man, that's either the worst lie I've ever heard, or he literally is a floor above me. But I got nothing bad to say about it. In fact, like I said, it's looking back, I quit for a very petty reason.
Okay.
And like a very like kind of like fanboyish reason, honestly.
Okay.
Long story short, the Roots got their budget cut, and they're the reason I kind of got the job in the first place. So they got a video budget cut from 3 videos to 1 video. And at that point, I was like, I got to ride with the Roots, man. I got to ride with OKP. So I quit that shit. And then I was like, oh, damn, like the Roots don't give a fuck about me.
Right. Like they didn't even know who you were. And, you know, that you had chosen to sort of ride with them in this strongly. And I mean, yeah, looking back, it's a dumb move, but
it doesn't matter because I'm over here, this fucking kid running around New York City talking about I got the best hip hop luck. I'm literally saying this shit to myself. Like it's the most ridiculous thing I can think of now. But I'm sitting around talking about like, okay, I went to see Little Brother at the Minstrel Show album release party. And like I won a raffle to get some free shit. So I win this raffle and I go to the table to collect it, and who's sitting at the table but T.I.?
What?
And I'm like, yo, I got the best hip hop luck. You know,
T.I. was handing out the raffle prizes?
He was sitting at the table. No, he was sitting at the table where they were handing out the prizes.
Oh.
It was like a little like booth. It was in the BB King's venue in Manhattan on 42nd
So he wasn't like, what it do, partner? Must be quite the exhilarating experience.
No, but I introduced myself to him. I shook his hand. I was like, wow, this is amazing. Like, I thought that I would, like, bro, I literally, like, this might be the definition of white privilege. Like, I literally thought that, like, in my mind, I'm like, yo, I'm getting, like, this, like, amazing streak of good things happening to me in rap. Like, I got to stick with rap because rap's got to, like, rap's going to be the thing. Like, for some reason, like, the universe keeps telling me rap. So, bro, I get a job writing for the hiphop.com.
TheHipHop.com.
THAHipHop.com. It's not even a website that exists anymore. Okay. But through my affiliation with them, I got a phone call with Count Bass D to talk about his making of his albums. You know, I got to go backstage and hang out with Devin the Dude and interview him for thehiphop.com. Bro, I don't give a fuck about thehiphop.com. I don't care about being a rap journalist. I want to meet Devin the Dude. I want to freaking, you know, I want access. Like, I am such a freaking fanboy. And then in 2007, George comes into some money. George, if you don't know, is a dude who would later go on to be someone who I rapped in the group Blase Misfits with. He's someone I grew up with. So George comes into some money and decides he wants to go to Guitar Center to get like a beat pad, you know, like a MIDI audio beat pad.
Right.
He wants to produce, and we decide like, yo, let's become like the next Neptunes. Let's become a production duo. So we try to make beats, and then I think about this genius idea. What if we made beats with no drums?
Okay.
Needless to say, so we made some beats. I made like 3 with no drums. We made some beats. I remember meeting Cheese, Cake Boy Cheese, a friend of ours, another person we grew up with. And we played Cheese the beats, and he's like, yo, Lyle, I like this beat, but don't you think it needs some drums? So I'm thinking like in my head, like, no, it doesn't need drums at all. Like, I'm pioneering a new style. The truth of the matter is, I didn't know how to get the drums from the grid onto my beat.
Wow. So
I just figured, fuck it, no drums. It's either going to be beats with just drums or just samples.
Oh, man.
Also, like, I didn't know how to chop a sample. I didn't know about Edison. So
Now
my
you're talking about FL Studio right now.
yeah, we're in FL Studio. So
This is funny to me though, because given our working relationship, like neither of us are, we don't cut corners. So it's funny hearing like back then, it's like, yo, I don't know how to do this. So like I'm
dude,
just
back
gonna
back back then I'm 19, 20 years old.
right,
I'm a kid, still a
right.
kid. But yeah, so I'm like not even knowing how to chop a sample. It's that thing that auto slices the beat, like auto slices whatever like audio you put into it and chops it up into like 2-second increments.
Yeah.
So that's how I was making the beat. Just a complete train wreck disaster. And then actually something that I've never really discussed too um, much in detail, and probably won't really get into too much detail here either. George and I had a falling out.
Okay.
So there goes my opportunity to make beats.
Okay.
And I just give it up for a while because finally I've served my time in community college. I can finally go to school for film.
Right. Which was your initial um love and uh goal, right?
Well, it was just something that I wanted, like, I saw the most potential in for myself.
Okay.
And my love for it was like the strongest at the time. Like I was just so hell bent on making an impression in the film industry somehow.
Okay.
So I got my grades up from a 2.17 in high school to a 3.96 or something, 9596. Like, bro, so Dean's List.
Right.
I made the freaking Dean's List at the Nassau Community College because I actually gave a shit and I actually had like a goal in mind. So I don't really revisit music until The Turtle and the Rabbit, which we just showed on Live from the Archive.
Yeah.
So Turtle and the Rabbit, as I said, I actually called Count Basie back and said, yo, I want you to do this music for this movie we're going to make.
Wow.
Not for Turtle and the Rabbit. Originally, David and I were making a film about a baseball player.
Okay.
And I wanted like a real because Count Basie, multi-instrumentalist, but also like he's played the church organ before. So I want that kind of baseball church organs kind of feel to it. And he's down to do it, but he wants like $700.
Right. I mean, as he should.
And I'm not saying he shouldn't have asked for $700, but I'm also saying I was a college student and I didn't have it. And I told him straight out, dude, if I could, I would, but I can't.
Right.
And we decided to change directions, go with this other story, and make this film. And I said, David, why don't you let me try to see what I can do, score this film?
Okay.
So I re-downloaded FL Studio. And that's really when I started. Like, once I was done with the film, that's when I'm like, all right, I can make beats on this thing too. And I'm going to now.
Right.
Now,
what year is this now?
08, 09? Okay. No, 09.
Okay, so this is 09.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
Or 08. I don't remember, honestly. Like, it's either like it's 08 or 09. It's summer of 08 or summer of 09.
Okay.
And, at this point now, I'm living on my own. I've moved out from my parents' house. I'm living with David, who is my production partner on all my film stuff. And, I score the film. Then I start making beats. Again.
Right.
How do I get to you? Charles Hamilton. Easy.
Right. Okay, and I'll take this moment to interject. Because yeah, I was really asking you the question so like we could really see like where the origin is as far as your relationship to music. And each step, you're at Def Jam, you start tinkering around here, you do a recital here. It's like, yeah. And then when you get, so you're saying around 0809 is when you re-download FL Studio, and this is when you actually begin to venture out into the world as a musician, as an artist.
Yes. Mind
So,
you, while still saying I'm gonna do video and film as well. I'm
right,
not gonna sacrifice one for the other.
right. So,
But at the same time, in the back of my mind, knowing that film is such an expensive and technical process, that music is just a much more like it's music is the girl that's available. She's sitting around the house just waiting for you at all times. And film is like the girl that does not ever give you the time of day, but once in a blue moon, she might give you a call because she's bored.
which of course isn't to devalue this girl music, because she gets devalued enough. But
No,
what
but
you
I'm
mean
saying
is
like
that it's more manageable to pursue that than trying to pursue film. Like,
music's like the homie.
right.
Film is like oh man, like you
If
got
you're
to get
gonna, if you're gonna step to film, you got to really have stuff together.
you got to have an army. You have to have people who want to work for you and see your vision.
Right.
Music, I could do it all by myself.
Right. It could be a one man operation.
Yeah,
You really
exactly.
wanted it to be. Right. So you sort of pivot, and music becomes the thing that you do. And in comes Charles Hamilton. So I don't know about you, but I discovered him the back half of 2008. One of my friends, I had moved away from Illinois. I was living in California. I was a sophomore in high school, and one of my friends called me from Illinois. He's like, "Hey, heard about this guy like Charles Hamilton on the blogs." This is when the blogs were really popping off, the blog era, like New Music Cartel and all that. So he like tells me to look him up. I looked this guy up, and we both know how that whole guy, how that guy and that whole saga goes. But we find each other through that fandom, basically. Um, I believe we initially made contact in 2010. I believe you emailed me. I probably still have the email somewhere. Um, or I think you messaged me on Facebook.
It was definitely Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook. You probably sent me the
I
beat.
didn't even have your email till you gave it to me.
Right. You probably sent me the beat for the first thing we ever did together musically through my email. But
Have fun.
yeah, Have Fun was the name of the song.
Which I did not produce, by the way.
Right. Charles produced it.
I provided the sample to Charles.
Yeah, and he made the beat. And you had the beat that he had made on your laptop, right?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, that's when we had first talked to each other. You reached out to me, and I was, pretty reclusive and socially inept.
And let me be clear, I reached out to you because at this point I was putting out albums where a bunch of different rappers and singers did their thing over my beats.
Yeah.
So to me, I heard you. I knew Charles was difficult to get a hold of. And I thought, wow, this kid sounds like Charles. All right, well, good enough.
Right. And I did try my very best to sound like him. I think a lot of people who are close to me know that. So by the time you reached out to me, how long have you been making beats? Like,
I mean, like,
year and a half?
you could say technically starting in 07, but that was the bullshit era.
Right.
So by the time I stepped to you, doing it seriously, year and a half.
Okay. So you have been doing it seriously for a year and a half. And I had only been releasing music to the internet for about a year, because I put my first thing out in 2009 on the internet. Like, I put it on, I believe, Mediafire. Like, uploaded it there, shared the link or whatever. But yeah, through that fandom of Charles is how we came into contact. And not much happened aside from you. I was guesting on a lot of your things at the time.
Yeah, we did a couple songs together.
Yeah.
And when I say we did a couple songs together, you rapped on my beats.
Right.
I didn't rap at all at that time publicly.
Right.
Only the kids in school knew that I rapped.
Right. So yeah, I don't recall you rapping. Now, well, here's the thing. So in 2011, did you put out anything as a rapper then? Because we ended up, or we were trying to collaborate on.
I spit an 8 bar on that project that is on that Have Fun is on Smiles of a Summer Night.
Right.
I
And
spit like an 8 bar, and that was the first time anyone had publicly heard me. But my voice was pitched down, like when Tyler the Creator does his creepy monster voice thing.
pseudo creepy monster voice thing, but oh great, did I throw what the kids call shade just now? I guess. I'm sorry. Um anyway, so in 2011, we were actually talking because we weren't at the point we are now where we talk literally every day. Um we probably talked once or twice a month, maybe every few months or something like
Maybe I don't know.
that. Yeah,
Honestly, like I don't think we were really talking until
2015, I would say.
there was a lapse in our usual like conversations, but obviously like somehow I ended up on I Hate Scorpios. So I think we were
Which
both
was
venting. I think we were both venting about Charles to each other.
yeah, in 2011, I put out this thing. I don't even like talking about it, but because I, one, I don't care about astrology. Two, I don't hate Scorpios. Three, just forget it was even mentioned just now. But yeah, you gave me a verse on that project that I had done, and we were planning on doing a collaborative rapping album, Losers in Paris, but we never got to do it. Um,
Oh, and the Ghastly Grinner.
yeah,
I did a whole album. This was when I was being manic and recording like friggin' tape, like mixtapes in one day, writing and recording, no freestyles.
well, that's still the Charles influence.
Of course, because I'm not taking great caution with my words. I'm just writing them.
We wanted to be prolific.
Yeah, so I did this thing where I like actually rented studio space in the studio that I was living in at the time in Brooklyn, and I rented out the Studio B there for 2 3 days and did this Ghastly Grinner project over Melvin's beats, which never really saw the light of day.
Did you send that to me?
I must have, yeah.
Yeah, I would think because I definitely remember the title, and if it was over my beats, I would think you probably would have sent it to me. But what's crazy is I don't remember any of that, like musically.
I rapped over the Prairie Park. I rapped over the
Man,
something from Chandeliers.
that screeching beat, that oh man,
But yeah, but then, as I've said before on our Patreon stuff, once Pizza Boy took off for you, I wanted to leave you alone for a little
well,
while.
okay, so here's what happened. After 2011, I go to college in 2012. We're still in contact. We're in each other's orbit, but we're not talking every day or every month even. You know, you would send me things like new like instrumental albums and beat tapes of yours occasionally. You know, and I would see them as you would post them.
Yeah, and I would occasionally be like, "Hey, I made a new best of Melvin Burch."
Yeah, yeah, and you would send me that. I recall you doing that.
Like I would come up with like, "These are your 10 best songs as of this moment."
And I was always interested in that because, like, you know, I had people who listened to me, but not to that degree. And I would
It was like,
always want things like that. To me, that was cool when you would hit me with stuff like that. Cause like, yo, he's really listening to me enough to like, you know, try to make a best of. Like, that's dope to me.
right, and I'd always say like, "This is what I'm sending people now when I try to put them onto what you're doing."
Right.
But in general, I wasn't really like I was probably talking to you less than ever because again, like I didn't want to come off like an opportunist. I've said this so
Well,
many times, but
that
like,
would be in 2014, which is when I became Pizza Boy.
right, but I'm doing my own thing. By like 2012, I'm already kind of rapping, like putting out rap projects with like Gold Coast and eventually Blase. You know, I'm
You're
putting
still
out like,
making beats though, right?
oh yeah,
So when did Night Creatures come out?
oh that came out like pretty early on. Honestly, that came out in the summer of August of 2010.
Okay. So do you feel as if the beat production slowed down as you started to come out of the proverbial shell more in terms of rap, or was it kind of neck and neck?
No, always made more beats because it's easier.
Yeah. I completely relate because
Like it would take me like, especially with Blase, we actually took our time on those. We took like, you know, a year plus on most of them.
yeah.
So yeah, during that time, I was keeping myself busy by putting out beat tapes. Wasn't putting out really. I mean, I do like, you know, for comedy's sake, I do like a freestyle tape every now and then, Hustle Mania, or Shampoo Poppy, or like one of these little tapes. But like, I don't even consider those officially part of my discography. That's just like shit I put out to share with my closest friends and followers and what have you.
Okay. So before we get to like the present day, I need to ask because you mentioned at the beginning, when did the rap name Lai Mula come into the picture?
Okay, probably 2011. No,
Okay.
it has to be before that. It has to be because I met Mr. P in December of 2009, and you know, I'll just tell you how I got the name.
Okay.
He, Mr. P, no, it wasn't Mr. P who gave me the name, but this kid Jordan, who goes by JMB, was his producer name. He's this guy who like is like kind of like a Dr. Dre,
Okay.
a bit of a recluse, if you will.
Okay.
And like I would sit here and tell you how great he is, but like I mean, it's been a very long time and he hasn't put out a beat tape. He hasn't done very much of anything because he's one of those people that's such a perfectionist that he'll spend 10 years like EQing a snare. But he actually gave me the name Mula. I don't know why, but he just called me Mula.
Okay.
It was Mr. P who said I should go by that
Right.
as
And
as my rap name because I was considering, you know, I produce actually under my government name.
uh-huh.
So I'm like, maybe I should just be Lyle Horowitz
Right.
or, you know, L Money or something like that. He's like, no, Lie Mula.
So he added the lie to the Mula.
I want to say yes. I mean, maybe he didn't. Maybe he just told me to use it as a rap name because he met Jordan. Like one day, Jordan came down to the studio where we worked out of.
Okay.
And maybe he heard me, he heard like Jordan call me that. And he was like, yo, that's it. That's your name. I don't, honestly, I don't really like, I don't like saying things definitively that I'm not 100% on. But I know Jordan gave me that name. And Mr. P insisted that I use it for rapping.
Okay. So Lyle Horowitz was your producer name, your government name,
Yep.
and you had Lai Mula as a rap name. Now that's interesting because, you know, my influences, you know, I started rapping because of Lil Wayne. So I was Lil Mel. Now, granted, my family would call me that because I'm a junior, Melvin
Right.
Burch Jr. So they would call me that already growing up, Lil Mel or Little Melvin. So to me, it's like, all right, cool. I have twice the reason to be Lil Mel. I get to be like Wayne, and I'm already naturally called that. When Charles came into the picture, that's probably what influenced me to be like, you know, I want to be Melvin Burch because he's Charles Hamilton, you know. And Pizza Boy was because I wanted to have a separation, you know, between Melvin Burch and like I never had a rap name publicly because like I said, I didn't start releasing things to the internet. I was Lil Mel from '07 to '09. And then when I started putting things out on the internet, I was already Melvin Burch by then because I found Charles. And then Pizza Boy came years later. But so the present day, I become Pizza Boy in 2014. We're still friends. We're still talking and everything. We've known each other like 4 years by that point. And like you said, you saw me sort of start to gain a little bit of traction as Pizza Boy online, and you wanted to stay away because you didn't want to seem like you were trying to, hop on the bandwagon or like get a sip of the juice or whatever.
Yeah, and honestly, I wasn't feeling it. So I was like, all right,
Right, right. And we've talked about this. You were not a Pizza Boy fan.
not at all.
Really, no one around me, was really feeling it like that, but they
But
were
I was,
happy
I
for
was,
me.
I was happy. Yeah, exactly. I was
Right,
happy for you. I was legitimately like, no bullshit, total 100% shoot, bro. Happy. Like, man, I hope this is the thing for him.
right,
It's not the thing for me, but
right.
it's the thing for him. And I'm like, the best thing is you're using my beats. I'm not even asking you to.
Yeah. No,
So
because here's the thing. I genuinely liked you as an artist. When you had first stepped to me and you've been sending me your stuff, I listened to the tapes and everything. So like, when I became Pizza Boy, I think the first project was all just sourced from people around me, that I knew personally or, admired strongly. So you were on there. You were on my first and my second Pizza Boy
yeah,
project.
and on futility as well.
Yeah.
And it's not like, bro, I would never say to you, yo, take that shit off. I don't want to hear, like, don't use my beats without my permission.
Right.
Like, and you're the homie, so it doesn't even matter. Like, you want to use it, use it. I really don't care.
Right.
But I still wasn't about to be like, yo, let's fucking just do a whole project,
Yeah,
dude.
let's like I see you're messing with the beats. Let's do something like
No,
Pizza Boy and Lyle Horowitz. Like, no, you never came to me like that. So here is how.
not until Psychotic Breaks
Right, right. Which
when I
you,
made that, and I was just like, yo, you want to do me a solid?
yeah, and hop on here.
And we were talking more at that time. We were like starting to talk a little bit more again.
Right. Um, and so this is how we get to the present day. So long story short, I became Pizza Boy in 2014. Started getting a little bit of traction. That carried into like the first half of 2015. And then the second half of 2015 was incredibly rough. By the end of the year, it was just a rough year. I had sort of hit this crossroads. And we had been working throughout that year. We had done a project together as I was Pizza Boy and you became
You weren't Pizza Boy. You
I was
were
yeah, I was Pizza Boy playing
Sus Boy 3000.
Sus Boy 3000 and you were Big Sus.
Yeah.
Right. And we made two Sus for TV, which was just, you know, a
And at this time, I'm like literally in the thick of making the final Blase Misfits album. There Will Be Duck.
right.
So I'm in like rapper mode at this time. I am competitively rapping.
Yes, you were. And when we were making Two Sus for TV, it was very much a competitive atmosphere, at least for me, because it's like, yo, this is the first project that I'm doing with another rapper, and we're going like almost bar for bar. Like we're sharing every song. There were no solo records on that thing. So this is mid 2015, and I hop on some projects of yours that year as Pizza Boy.
Just one.
Oh, it's just one.
Yeah, just one.
Which one was that?
Psychotic Breaks.
Okay.
You didn't hop on Red Lagoon until you
Oh,
did.
what I'm thinking of is wasn't I on there twice?
Yeah, you're on there as Melvin Burch and Pizza Boy.
Right. Okay, that explains it. So by 2016, the beginning of 2016, 2015 was rough. I'm sort of directionless for the first time in my career. Like I don't know what I want to do or where I'm going. For the first time since I came out as a musician in 2009 publicly. So, we in the previous year had really had the strongest working relationship we'd ever had. We did a whole album together. I had
And it
been
was
on,
easy. It was so easy.
yeah, it came together very fast. And I realized, okay, it's easy to work with this guy. We have the same sort of intentions and ideals and, a similar vision in terms of how grand we would like something to be. We connect in that way. Um, so what happened was at the start of 2016, the Pizza Boy stuff had pretty much died down. And I didn't know where I wanted to go creatively. Um, I called you and I was like, and this is on YouTube. There's a whole episode about this in the show. This is Melvin. I called you and I was like, hey, how would you like to help me sort of like regain my
By the
vigor?
way, just for the record, in case they ever make the movie, I was at the Ralph's grocery store on Hollywood Boulevard and Western Avenue.
When this
Continue.
call took place.
Yeah, I was at the Ralph's on Hollywood and Western.
Yeah. And I called you and I'm like, yo, I want to really start with the work ethic. Like, just because you help me just get writing again. Just send me beats, whatever kind of beats. Just like, I need to get.
And you saw me doing what I was doing with George as Blase Misfits. You saw that work ethic. And I think that's what probably made you
I
call
saw
me.
the work ethic. I always respected you as an artist. I always respected the things you were trying to do. I love how organized you were, because I'm big on that. Like, everything seemed deliberate and planned and intentional. From the press releases, how you would send me things. I felt that. That was I love that stuff. So there was really, people I'm sure wonder, like, why did you go to Lyle? Like, well, because we'd worked before and I knew we had a similar set of principles. So I reached out to you and you agreed. And initially it was just supposed to be like, hey, help keep me on track, help keep me productive. Like, because I'm coming out of this
And
year, I just need to,
Futility, you wanted me to help you with Futility 2 and the things I do for love. And
yeah,
it was supposed to be just that. Like, I get you back in a good workflow. I executive produced these 2 EPs for you, and then I thought it was just that would be it.
right. So and of course from there, the rest is history. And that turned into, yo, let's actually scrap these EPs, because, like, I think we can do something different. Like, I think we can do this. I think we can do that. And one thing led to another, and here we are 3 years later, and you've been executive producing
Everything.
everything.
Everything. The singles, the YouTube videos, everything. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't even like using that word executive producing because it's so like burnt up at this point. Like, I feel like it's like
Right. So
I feel like creative directing is really what I've been doing.
that's accurate. And we're gonna get to that later in terms of how hands-on you are and what exactly you're involved in, because I think that needs to be cleared up once and for all to people who don't understand the extent of your involvement and what you actually are responsible for and take part in. So here you are now, the executive producer of the Melvin Burch operation.
Yeah.
You've done everything from, helping me get music videos together, designing cover art, reviewing all the music that I make.
Even assisting with legal situations.
Yeah. Yeah, like producers and things.
Right. Obtaining licenses and dealing with angry scattles.
Yeah, Baby Divine almost didn't happen. So, so before we really flesh that out, I want to talk about a few things. So, you spoke about, being on Def Jam and sort of early on.
I wasn't signed.
Not on Def Jam, but working for Def Jam, being in that building, doing marketing and promotional things. So very early on, you got to experience sort of that industry lifestyle and connect.
And by the way, something that I left out earlier, there was a period of time early on when I started making music, but I was still doing the video stuff pretty heavily, where the work that I was doing was exclusively industry work. We were filming, CMJ showcases, and we were getting, access to guys like Freddie Gibbs, Big Sean, Mike Posner, Wale, Charles Hamilton. And we were shooting stuff essentially like multi-camera shoots. We would bring people, we'd bring tripods, and we would try to shoot their shows like you'd see on like HBO with like multiple camera cuts. So, at this time, it's the perfect environment for me to be taking in while I'm starting off with this music shit, because I'm on stage with like Blue and Exile filming their whole set. I'm filming, you know, a whole showcase for freaking Big Sean and Mike Posner. And then we go in the green room afterwards, we get an interview, and I'm really getting an whole, like, I'm an artist, but they don't know it. So I'm just the video guy to them. We were just talking about this earlier. In these moments, I'm the video guy, the camera crew, the film people.
And you're not thinking in terms of like, yo, maybe I should be trying to.
No.
Right. You're just enjoying being close to these artists.
Because again, I'm such a fan.
Right. But, you know, to that point, like, you speak about being in the industry and everything, and, you know, a lot of that needs to be, you know, I'll say it. I think it should be respected, because people often ask me about you, like, why Lyle? You know, and I thought I explained it in the YouTube episode enough, but it's like.
And here's the thing. I'm like, I try to be humble.
Right. And I'll get to that, because here's the thing. We had talked about this, you know, recently before. Like, you're not a big-headed artist. You're not delusional, you know, and we'll get into that because you sent me some of your liner notes from early projects.
No, I'm a cautionary tale, dude. And to be honest with you, I've been in situations I wasn't ready for. I sat in a room with G Unit, and I'm sitting there with Angel Diaz, not Angel Diaz from Complex, Angel Diaz, who was a music manager for Lloyd Banks, and David and I are sitting there pitching him video ideas. We're sitting there with Tony Yayo pitching video ideas. I look over and I see 50 Cent in his office, and my dick shrivels up and goes inside of my body. I am like such a fan. You don't even understand. Like, I was put in so many situations I wasn't ready for. So to one end, it's like, I don't even want to tell people like, yo, respect my pedigree, respect what, like, all the shit that I've done in the game that doesn't get publicized and that I don't put over on a daily basis, because some of it is frankly like, some of these things are failures for me and some of them are mistakes.
Right.
So I'm not going to sit here and make representations. I'm not going to sit here and make representations. Yo, I'm a legend, or I did this, or I did that, or I worked with this guy, I worked with that guy, or I sat in a room with him, I sat in a room with him, when some of those experiences were not overall good experiences.
Right. But here's what it is. It's still experience. You know, you're not a nobody. You know, you've been, you know, down the block. You've seen things.
I've probably met your favorite rapper.
Right. You know, and that counts for something. So
for like, better or worse.
Right. Like, and you're older than me, you know, and so the thing is, the question why Mules? Well, here's the thing. You were born 6 years before me. You started listening to hip hop before me. You have a wealth of knowledge that I didn't have. You've had the opportunity to be, you know, around artists and work with Def Jam and all these other things. Like, you know things that I don't, you know, and that other people around me didn't know. So it's not like I just picked a friend, like put a bunch of names in a hat and pulled out loud. It's like, you're going to be my executive.
I'm not a guy who's like, I'm not Gary Vee. I'm not a motivational speaker. I'm not like an entrepreneur. I'm not a guy that's going to tell you, yo, listen, you got to listen to me because I'm such a great success in the music industry. I'm saying, yo, you might want to listen to me because I could teach you from everything that I failed in when I wasn't ready, when I was dicking around, acting like a complete mark instead of actually realizing what was in front of me and taking advantage of it and bossing up, which I didn't do.
Right.
You know, now it's like, okay, I at least have the insight now into where I went wrong, why I did this. You know, like I said, I had a petty reason for leaving Def Jam. I had loyalty to people who barely even knew who I was.
Right.
What did I get out of it? They invited me to the VH1 freaking Unplugged or whatever the hell it was for Rising Down for the next album. I sat in the studio audience for that and watched them do new songs. Hey, thanks. I mean, seriously, thanks. That was cool. But other than that, I've, you know, like, I'm not involved in any endeavors with OK Player anymore. I barely even post. occasionally I still post on the forums. It's an old habit that goes back about 15 years. So, but yeah, I'm like, I'm not like, I don't like to puff my chest out and say, well, I'm the fucking man, because I'm not.
Right.
But that doesn't mean you can't learn a thing or two from me, and that I haven't learned a thing or two from myself.
Right. Exactly. Now, with all of that established, we have now this understanding of the road you traveled, how you got to this point in your artistry, and as my executive producer, here's my chance to be like Anderson Cooper.
Okay.
Just because, this isn't going to be a fluff interview.
I don't think it's been a fluff interview.
No, it hasn't. But here's my question to you.
We have an understanding. Just to be clear, I've talked about stuff I've never talked about on this thing so far.
Right.
I don't think I've ever told anyone publicly that my mom died.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't think I've ever really dropped some of the names I'm dropping right now. But I figure, fuck it, because I want this to be the comprehensive interview.
Right.
I want this to be the interview. So I don't have to speak on any of the shit that I've ever done ever again.
Right.
And to that, I'll just say this before you throw out the question. I worked with fucking Prodigy, dude. Nobody can tell me shit. You know what I mean? Like, I worked with one of my heroes. So, that's it. Like, to me, how do you measure success? I've been in the room with everyone you could imagine. I've seen some shit. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that, everything worked in my favor. I'm not saying everyone was cool to me. But I'm saying I've seen it from so many different angles for so long. And at this point, I feel like, listen, how do I measure success? In a lot of ways. So in some ways, I feel very successful. In other ways, I feel like maybe one of the greatest disappointments, failures this business has ever seen.
I know the feeling, which leads directly into the next question. So we know your pedigree. We know who you've gotten a chance to work with. We know the opportunities you've had. We know how you've started making music.
Yes.
As a beat maker, as a producer, also as a rapper, that entire journey. With that understanding, what do you have to say to the people who claim that you ruined being Melvin Burch's career? The people that believe you led me astray, first as a rapper, and then, like, I guess this idea that you poisoned my mind to quit rap altogether and try pop.
Okay, let's address this point by point.
Okay.
Let's talk about rap.
So when you came on,
when I came on, you had 8 Charles Hamilton albums in your top hip-hop albums, top 50 hip-hop albums of all time. I told you, no disrespect, everyone's opinions are going to be different. I'm not trying to, but I mean, bro, I'm a Charles Hamilton fan.
Right.
Against all odds. Even to this day, I joke around, but I'll defend that man from people who are going to speak low of his name and let that be that, like, I have a level of respect for him.
Right.
So.
But you say this to say, like, my rap sensibilities were already in question before you came along.
Yeah, all that said, we know about Charles, and we know about his habits musically that are very bad habits.
Yeah. But here's the thing. At the beginning of 2016, I was still Pizza Boy. I hadn't released a Melvin Burch project in about 9 months at that point, because Pizza Boy had sort of taken over. What was initially the side project had become the main project because it was the most successful. And when I brought you on, it was to help with the Pizza Boy stuff. But yes. I was working on some Melvin Burch stuff, and I sent you that too, because I was trying to sort of reboot, revive, restructure, recontextualize, whatever Melvin Burch, reintroduce, allow me to reintroduce myself.
Right. And originally the separation, all it was Pizza Boy's Melvin Burch that curses. Melvin Burch is Melvin Burch that doesn't curse.
Yeah, I mean, Pizza Boy is Melvin Burch with cursing and a lot darker themes.
Yes.
more honesty, closer to what I feel and think.
Right. And Melvin Burch is the family friendly, no cusses, you know,
Yeah.
that deal. So to me, I'm like, these two entities are so similar. They are so similar, especially as you get older.
Wow.
But my first thought was, here's a guy that just doesn't really know that much about rap. Self admitted.
Yeah,
Like,
because here's the truth. Okay, so I was already getting burned out because of the industry. That's why 2015 was so hard. My short brushes and close calls with the industry. I was getting burnt out as a rapper. When I came to you, I was like, yo, I just need you to get me working again so I can get that feeling and love and spirit back, because I was already getting burned out as a rapper. So to start there, um, would you say that you, like, you know, sort of seduced me into leaving rap, or was I already in that mindset?
you are already in that mindset. Now, here's the thing. My feeling on it was like, you can't leave rap. You're not a good rapper yet.
Right. And so to get back to your point, you were saying I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't. Because here's the thing. I listened to a lot of rap, but it was mostly the same, maybe couple dozen artists. And that was my main diet of hip hop. I would say at that point, I was pulling from the well of Lil Wayne, Drake, Charles Hamilton, Milo / Scallops Hotel, like Childish Gambino, Lupe Fiasco, like Will Smith, and a few others. Like, throw that all in a bowl, shake it up, put it on the table. That's probably who I was as a rapper. That's not even like scratching the tip of the iceberg with your pinky nail, you know?
Right. And I figured, listen, if this is something you want to do professionally, you should probably hear Reasonable Doubt. You should probably hear Illmatic. You should probably hear Aquemini.
Which
You
I
should
had,
probably hear
because
Light
I
After
did
Death.
care. I did care about those things. I care about I love hip hop and rap. So I had heard things. Oh yeah, Jay-Z too. I'd heard some of those albums. A lot of them not at all, some of them partially. I was never averse to them. I was just so caught up in what I liked that I never really ventured out of that, especially with Charles. So there are people that are like, yo, we miss you as a rapper. Like, I thought you were dope. I was never comfortable with myself and my abilities all the way. I always felt like I was still at that amateur stage, as a rapper and as a producer, because here's the thing. I started making beats in 2009 because of Charles, because he was a rapper who produced all of his records. And I wanted to do that. Plus, I knew I couldn't rap on industry instrumentals forever. But I felt like an amateur. So when you came in and you pretty much confirmed that, you know, it's not like Mools killed off who Melvin really is. I came to you like, yo, I need you to help me get the full potential out of myself.
Right.
So,
So I figured the first place to start were to fill all the gaps in your knowledge.
and that's how the Matum came into
So,
being.
I mean, if you want to call that seduction, I suppose, but like, I mean, I don't know anyone that's ever been seduced by Sean Price, despite, and Little Brother, despite how good they may be.
Yeah, I'd heard like a few minstrel show songs prior to, like, bro. I mean, what's the harm in making me listen to Life After Death and Aquemini for the first time ever in full, like front to back?
I mean, these are recognized classics. I'm not like, yo, dude, you got to listen to, you know, uh, like a silly rapper or something
Oh, we
like that.
listen to everything from Aesop Rock to Devin the Dude to Count Bass D to Big to Outkast to freaking you name it. I think it's the impression of you that I think people have is that you like got me on this weirdo stuff.
All right, so go do me a favor. Go in your little folder where you got all the mixes and name some of the rap mixes I gave you. Like, bro, you hadn't heard Mad Villain. You hadn't heard.
I knew of Mad Villainy. I've
Sure,
never heard it.
you should just hear it. And I Rock Marciano, Ka, you
Right.
know, a lot of stuff, man. A lot of a lot of stuff.
Right. So to be clear,
My intention actually was like, let's see if I can actually get you to like complete rhyme schemes, which is something you weren't doing. You'd pick up a rhyme and you'd kind of start a little flow.
and
And
I knew I was doing it though, but I learned that from like the alternative side of hip hop, like these sort of unorthodox schemes where they almost don't sound like rhyme schemes at all. Seems like I'm like not
and,
right.
and that's why I'm saying, listen to Biggie, because that's like,
The flow god.
that's where it's at.
Yeah. And of course you were familiar with alternative hip hop too, but like that wasn't entirely your cup of tea. Like you knew what I was doing, but it's like you knew that.
Bro, I mean, again, not to toot my own horn, but since I'm here, I opened for Open Mike Eagle.
Right. You know, the art rapper extraordinaire.
I've done a song with him, as a matter of fact.
Right. So you knew where I was coming from, but would you say that, you know,
I
it
don't
wasn't
like
so much
I don't like that shit.
right. And I know that about you now. But here's the thing. Would you say it wasn't so much you were trying to turn me into the rapper you wanted to hear, or would you say you were trying to introduce me to things that you know I hadn't heard in the hopes that it would help me refine my style or expand my style?
I didn't want to turn you into the rapper I wanted to hear. I wanted you to understand some fundamentals going forward that, like, I know that that's a thing that people do where they start like a
Here's the
flow
thing.
that sounds
I
dope and then
knew
they
the
drop it.
fundamentals. I didn't abide by them because I was so caught up in this certain style. Now, you showing me more of other styles got me out of that mindset I was locked in with. I was Charles Hamilton Jr. like through and through with like some Drake and Gambino and Lil Wayne and
I love Lil Wayne, by the way.
Milo.
Lil Wayne is like my favorite rapper.
Right.
So, you know, nothing against Lil Wayne, but like to me, to rap, to really take that seriously is to know what came before you. Just like any other discipline, you should know who came before you. You don't have to like it, but you should hear it. That's all I'm saying. And if you hear it and you say, "Yeah, I don't think this is really for me," well, then you know your ears, your you know, like they're not gonna lie to you. But
Right.
I think it's like worthwhile for people to, you know, study the greats, if you will, of whatever discipline they're practicing, essentially. You
Right.
know,
Now,
I've never heard of a filmmaker who's never watched Citizen Kane and 2001: A Space Odyssey. You don't have to like it, but you got to watch it. You got to see what came before you, so you know what's going to come after you.
okay. Now, here's my question. When you say the greats, of course, in our relationship, working together, I'm trusting the things that you feed me in terms of the musical diet and like the film diet, the inspirations that you're giving me to complete what we're doing.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit more about what your tastes are. Like you don't have to go extremely in depth because here's the thing. You speak about the greats, but I'm just trusting whatever your interpretation of the grapes, the greats is, you know? What do you like to see in hip hop?
I mean, here's the thing. Like, the greats are the greats. I don't decide who the greats are.
Well, no, right. In terms of the established like rap canon, you fed me that stuff, but there's other stuff too. Because this is what I want to get to. I feel like people look at Mools / Lyle as like this weirdo recluse, like giving Mel this mystical, like weirdo, non-commercial, like
what?
death sentence to my career music. Like I don't know. Like talk about what you actually do enjoy in hip hop. Because here's the thing. I think people think your taste is like odd or something. Like I know that to not be true. You listen to as much popular music as I do. You know, like
I listen to literally everything, and not in the way that people say they listen to everything.
right. No, you really listen to everything. Just like I really listen to everything. People for years the whole thing was like, you know, I listen to everything except country. No, we listen to country too.
Right. Or they say everything except rap. No, I listen to rap. You know, oh, everything except classical. I'll even get down with a little bit of that Stravinsky, you know, a little bit of that Beethoven, whatever.
Right. Okay. Well,
but what about rap?
yeah, on rap. To stay on rap, hip hop, what do you gravitate towards? What do you like to hear? What defines good hip hop to you? Just to get the record straight. And we can go from there because there's more.
That's a very loaded question.
I'm sure.
I mean, hip hop is beat based. It's always beat based. So like, it's almost always beat based. So, you know, to say like it needs a beat, that's almost more like what I look for in some other stuff. But what like about a rapper or a rap?
Because, well, to clarify, coming from a hip hop space, you find yourself looking for beats in other genres, like a beat based pop or beat based what have you. There needs to be a beat there because loving hip hop for so long, that's what you like.
I like a good beat, I gotta say.
Right.
Or at least like, and this goes into hip hop, like I love hip hop that it's weird because like, for instance, I'm a huge DJ Quick fan. I talk about him all the time. I don't shut up about DJ Quick. I think he's the best because like he has a really unique voice and it cuts through on the tracks. Musically, he's a genius. I mean, they've made sheet music after his music. You know, he is a multi-instrumentalist. His music is so lush and beautifully arranged, and there's like live instrumentation. But I feel like with me sitting here and talking about live instrumentation, that would make people think, oh, I don't like sample-based hip hop, which obviously is
like,
untrue.
Or you're one of these like, I like hip hop when it sounds lofty and extravagant, and
which is not true because I've spent, you know, over 10 years making sample based hip hop.
Like, so boom bap-ish.
Yeah, boom bap. Like, so I'm a big fan of like, you know, I'm from New York, so of course, like, I like New York rap. I was like a big 50 Cent fan growing up. I was a big Jay fan. I love Dipset. I like freaking Biggie. You know, like all the things you would expect someone, Mobb Deep, like anything that you expect someone from New York to listen to. You know, Papoose, yeah, him too. You know, like Swizz Beats, you know, all that stuff. Like I'm a fan of that. I also like really like raucous, like high energy, high octane, like MOP. You know, I can get down with like a little Meek Mill. I like 6ix9ine, which I know is very controversial, but like Bobby Shmurda, anything that's like really hyped up, good like gym music. I like that. I mean, honestly, like I'm down for any kind of style of hip hop when it's done right. I love freaking
but done right to you would be, you know, having, I guess, as you've been stating, so you have to have, sounds like personality, presence.
I mean, and I've always said this, like why I don't consider Drake to be an elite rapper is because he only talks about Drake. I think to be a great rapper, you got to go outside yourself. To be a great artist in general, you have to go outside yourself and write about other shit other than yourself.
Okay.
I think that's always like a good MC to me is like a well-rounded one that can tell a story, but also talk about themselves and do typical braggadocious, you know, rap record. Someone who can do, you know, like a story, like in the way that like, you know, maybe it's made up, like a Ghostface, like kind of crime story, or even a story like, you know, something that's more personal and something that's more like actually relevant to like something that someone actually went through, but being told in story form. Now, I'm not going to say the J. Cole song where he loses his virginity, but like the kind of record where someone is being open and honest about something that happened to them. I mean, it's like, to me, the best MCs are well-rounded for sure. They don't just excel at one specific thing.
And here's the thing: we both like Drake, but
Yeah,
we
it's
talked
cool.
about this, millions of times. But when you talk about him being an elite MC or not being an elite MC, like I'm sure the people around me, because I'm still a big Drake fan, but the people around me, like I come back to them and it's like, I started thinking about that, like in terms of like why does it sometimes feel like Drake hasn't quite hit this or that or the other? I come back to people I know and it's like, yo, he does spend a lot of time talking about himself, and really the impact of his music relies on whether or not you're subscribed to his cult of personality. I am. And that's something that like I didn't really think about. I enjoy Drake so much because Drake makes you feel like him.
Oh, and like as a rapper, also I can say when I notice certain things in the way someone performs, sometimes it makes me like not like them or like them. Like just things that I notice, like I do, like it's this is such a hard thing to quantify. Like, I don't know, man. I like rap, like I like nothing out of the ordinary. Like,
Now, here's the question.
here's one thing I'll say about rap, right? And I've always held this like this feeling on it. Even the worst artist has like that one song that I'm like, all right, I'll give it to him.
Right. You're never, one thing I know about you is you're never afraid to give it to them when they get it.
I mean, there are artists who literally have like classic albums with me,
Mhm.
or even just like one classic song, and I absolutely hate the rest of their catalog.
Right.
I loved Because of the Internet, Childish Gambino, but I haven't liked anything that's come after it, and I didn't like anything that came before it.
Right. Vehemently.
Yeah, vehemently, I'm not a fan. But that one album, he got me. I got to say, that album's good.
Right.
So I'm very open minded to like anything. So I'm always willing to be proven wrong about somebody, and I almost like welcome it. I get like a little excited, like, okay, I haven't like figured everything out just yet, But here's the thing, like, do you read a book and then believe everything that's in the book? If I tell you these are great albums, that's on you to decide. So I ask you not to turn this into an interview of you, but I ask you, how do you feel about most of the stuff that I've quote put you on?
Well, I'm a pretty open-minded individual myself, and I always find something to take away from it. Now, I think that the problem and the issue that people have with Mules and Mel, or Mules the personality, it seems to people, I think, that you are um someone who's opposed like entirely to modern forms of music, like in the sense that,
What?
yeah, in the sense that, listen, people say you're not jiggy, or you're like,
Well, I'll tell you what, they're certainly right about that.
and I wanted to give you the floor for that, because to make it clear, like, you've never expressed a willingness to be so or have claimed to be so. You know where you stand in terms of what's going on right now. You know what you like and what you don't like. Um, I know what I like and what I don't like. But the thing is, to open that up even more, um,
And I mean, certainly there are times where we completely differ.
yeah. But to open up even more, it's like, what do you say to the people who say, as, because here's the thing, a lot of people, I guess, look at you as like the manager. Like, you're telling me what to make and how to make it. And if I don't do it right, you're sending me back to do it again. And it's like, don't make any of that new age music. Don't make anything that makes money. We're doing this like revival 90s, 80s music, or like we're doing this. What do you say to the people who think Mool's the manager is driving Mel's career into the ground because he doesn't know what's hot, or he doesn't know what's going on, or he wants him to make music that no one likes?
All right.
Is
Well,
that true?
let's get something out of the way.
Why hasn't Moles made Mel any money. Does that make him a failure as a creative director or executive producer or manager or whatever you want to call it?
Yes.
You say yes, it makes you a failure?
Yes, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
But first, let me say this. I've never made you make anything.
And that's true.
I've never suggested to you, with the exception of one song that hasn't even been written yet, what to write about. There's literally one song that you have not even written yet about something I want you to write about. It's the first song in maybe 100 songs.
Yeah.
Where I've told you this is what I think you should write about.
You came to me with an idea, like, yo, write about this. I was like, sounds cool. I'll give it a shot. Every other thing, this is what you have to understand. I'm going to give you the floor back because, of course, this is me interviewing you. But when we talk about the music I've been making, you know, of course, the pivot away from rap that started in 2016. Like I said, you know, and like you just said, you didn't seduce me away from rap. Clearly, you love rap. We both come from rap. How, I think people think because you're like this. Here's the thing: they think because you're this white guy that you came in and you're like, "Yo, stop messing with that black music. We're gonna get you on this." That's completely preposterous.
Okay,
we have a whole album. We have a whole album together where we're rapping together.
That's correct. But here's the thing: I am a white guy, but I'm also a white Jewish guy. And what do we know about white Jewish guys in the music industry? We love making money off of hip hop. So, first off, that's completely ridiculous. What I did with rap and Pizza Boy before that operation shuttered was this. I want to do an album with you where one guy does all the beats because you've never done that before as a rapper. I also want to make 2 mixtapes with you where you're actually rapping in the way that is traditionally accepted as good rap, quote unquote.
Right. So not like the alternative, like, you know, art rappy sort of style, but like,
no,
you know,
I want you to come with
the flow, keep a flow consistent, keep the bars less referential and more direct and straightforward and still entertaining, still full of personality. Be an exceptional rapper and not exceptional just because you're different from like what's traditionally accepted.
Yes, and what's my job? My job is just saying, yo, that bar doesn't make sense. Yo, let's do a skit after this song and then put this song after it because it'll flow well into that song.
Right.
I'm not sitting over your shoulder saying, on this song, you're going to write about your grandpa.
Right. I mean, you're hands-on in terms of like you hear the song and it's like, I don't know about that or that works. And you're helping with sequencing, you're helping with all that stuff, but you've never written a bar for me or told me what to write about. Even going on to pop, you know, it's not like, yo, here's the truth, man, mining from what we have to mine from, of course, being unsuccessful and not knowing producers or people to make modern stuff. We're just taking what we find on the internet, and a lot of that stuff, you know, people are caught up in this retro.
Exactly. Way. So this is the thing about being a failure, right? Okay. If you guys think, whoever's listening to this, who thinks that I'm under the impression that what Melvin is doing right now is an like unqualified success, that is completely ridiculous. I do not think that at all. I think what we're doing is not connecting with people, and that's why. And I don't blame people for thinking that because they don't see a year ahead like we do.
Right.
So in a year from now, I know I'm not going to be a failure. But right now, yes, we've been following upon a path of failure to create a legacy. Right. At this point, it has taken us this long to realize that's not going to cut it. We need to pay the bills, and therefore we're going to pivot, and that's going to be our next move. But right now, we're completing our work on this move. So are you going to sit here and say, this Patreon is amazing, it's such a huge success where we don't ever have to even think about working again, this is everything we've ever wanted, we're hugely successful, and everyone's waiting on the next thing that we have to do or say? No, absolutely not. I have no delusions about where we are right now. But as a self-aware person and as someone who's constantly reevaluating, Melvin will tell you this, I'm very aware of the perception and the position, and that's why after we're done with this, things are going to change a little bit. Yeah, so in some respects, I said, in some respects, I consider myself a failure. In some respects, I consider myself a success. I consider when this album is done, I will consider this pop music a success because finally we have reached our destination. We have reached the point where I feel like, honestly, if this is the last music project I ever do, I'm happy. In fact, I'm thrilled. This is the best possible way I could go out. Now, that's not necessarily the plan, but I know what's coming.
Right.
And I know the recipe for success, even if I don't decide to make a success souffle that day. Right now, we're working on a legacy souffle. And then as soon as we're done with the legacy souffle, there is going to be an
now we're going to start
abrupt.
making the food that people want to eat. Right now, we've been making gourmet food that we know is good. We know people have enjoyed in the past. We know traditionally was respected. Right now, it's not what they want to eat.
And while I'm on that subject, please go ahead and listen to the new episode of Rap Rankings with Moles and Mel.
Oh yeah, I guess it will be out by then. But hold on, that's coming later. That's actually the final question. But to be clear, yeah, Moles is a white Jewish man, but clearly he just broke down his entire life in music, and the man worked with Def Jam. The man fanboys out over rappers. Why would you think he came on board to get me to stop doing rap? You know, he didn't.
I was actually rapping actively when I came on board. So I was still in a rap group at that time, working on a rap album, recording rap verses, and doing rap.
Here's the guy, and I don't think I've ever expressed this. This is the God's honest truth. Moles is not the crazy one. Mel is the crazy one. And here's why. This shouldn't come as a shock to anyone because everybody know I'm crazy. But when I made Garden, which was the first Melvin Burch song put out with you as the executive producer, creative director of this operation, that was completely my idea. When I delivered that song back to you that week, I was like, this is what the beat was telling me to do.
What about White Boy Pop Rock Exhibit?
Yeah, from Two Suts for TV, completely my idea. Completely my idea. If anything, blame me. Moles was brave enough to follow me. When I sent you Garden, it wasn't like sing on this. You know, you sent me that beat. It's like you thought it was like a rap beat or something, right? Like,
yeah, because it sampled the
next episode sample.
Exactly.
You know, and I just felt like taking it somewhere else because, like I said, I was already getting burned out on rap. I had been so disillusioned by the rap industry.
I was at the peak of my rap abilities at that time.
Right. You know, you could have been like, man, what are you doing? Like, I thought you brought me on for rap. You followed me there, bro. Like, we both went into this pop thing not knowing what to expect. You didn't steer me here. I steered myself, and you were brave enough to follow. You know,
if you want to hate me for not saying "ya" sucked, but that's it.
Right. You know, right. He didn't make me make "ya." I made "ya." I was, you know, messing around on the phone one day,
right.
y'all. And
but
he's like, yo.
I'm the guy that hears "ya" and goes, because I have such an open mind, I'm like, you know what? This could be like a Gangnam Style or something.
You know? And I mean, which is all comes back to why, you know, I even went to you because I respected your ear, I respected your mind, I respected your pedigree, respected your history. Like, I knew that you would understand if I took risks like that or did things like that, you know? So don't blame Moles unless you're gonna like be like, yo, he's an enabler. It's been me all along, y'all. Like, he's just the guy who has dedicated his life to helping me get to this potential I've been seeking. You know, like the man has been doing this for like 3 years now. You know, so yeah, we haven't made any money. Clearly, he just said he's aware.
We made money.
Well, yeah, a little bit. But like,
I want to put over everyone that streamed Corpse Groom and everyone that is a patron, you know, because yes, we have made a little bit of money, but am I going to sit here and tell you that it's the money that we need to continue this operation into adulthood? No.
Yeah. You know,
I mean, but I'd be a fool if that was the case. And then the next thing was another album and another rollout and another year and a half of work to be ignored again.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I recently approached you and it's like, yo, we're making this stuff and I really like it, but we know what's going to happen. And you agreed. So we got together and it's like, what are we going to do that's going to make us money? It's going to sustain a livelihood. We realized, yo, we can't just keep making these albums to no response. You know, we got to make money. You know, as far as you being a manager and like, yeah, I guess you are a quote failure because you haven't managed me to like
No,
crazy.
but here's the thing. I mean, we throw around that word manager. I'm not your manager.
Right. You don't handle my business affairs. You're a creative director. We collaborate on all this. I make the music. I give it to you. You break it down, analyze it, put it back together. You
And
know,
we've disagreed about how many songs in terms of me saying it's whack and you saying no, it's not.
so many, so many.
Like, you know, there's numerous instances where we've clashed over ideas.
Yeah. I mean, you've deconstructed a bunch of stuff. Here's the thing. Do you feel like any of the songs that I've made that have been rejected, um, do you think that,
Rejected by me?
yeah, do you think
Okay.
that any of those songs, like, you're keeping me from success? Like, would you say any of those songs had the potential to be successful, but because of your own musical sensibilities, you couldn't let it fly, and like that's somehow blocking me from the bag or my blessings?
Hold on. I'm going to open up the demos
Okay.
and I'm going to take a look and see.
While you're opening that up, would you say we've been taking this pop journey together? Like, you know, neither of us were pop authorities going into it.
I know next to nothing about pop. I grew up on Long Island, so I'm a huge Billy Joel fan, and I have been since I was like 5 years old.
Right.
But that's because I'm from Long Island. Everyone from Long Island is a Billy Joel fan.
And some might say, well, if you know nothing about pop, why did you go along with it? Well, you knew a lot about music. You had plenty of pop music in your possession. We both together as a creative duo started studying pop and took that same vigor and approach to rap before I stopped rapping and applied it to pop. Let's now study.
Would you say All Time Love is a reject?
No, because it just didn't fit you like the record. It just didn't fit the album that we're currently working on. So that's one.
And it's available.
It's available. It's not, if you subscribe to Patreon, it was the very first song I put out because I wanted to set the tone with it in terms of it sounding like money music, like something that would work now currently. I mean, maybe we're a little past the tropical pop era, but
yeah.
like, you know, but like it's clear that, you know, I could write that if I wanted to. You know, it made sense coming off of Smile for the Camera or Less Than Me Again. It's like, yeah, I could be doing that. You know.
No, I don't see any records here that like musically like they don't align with my sensibilities, but I do feel like they could be.
So
successful.
What you're saying is there isn't an album that could
be. Well, I really liked Today I Got Time, but like again, that's now on the posthumous Pizza Boy album, so it did get released.
Right. And I mean that's just like a free verse, you know.
Sure, it was just a beat that I really liked off a Madlib album. I wanted to hear you rap on it. That was basically it.
Right. I mean, my question is, you don't think there's a Melvin Burch album that could be constructed of all of the rejects right now, if put out, could launch me to superstardom, and you're just like holding me back from it?
No, all those records get saved for the actual albums.
Right.
Like I thought America might capture people's imaginations. I thought like Champion might be able to make an impact in the marketing advertising space with like combat sports. But these songs have been released. The best stuff gets saved for the albums.
Now, by combat sports, you don't mean like UFC?
Yeah, MMA, boxing, wrestling. That's kind of
a little sweet. That's a little sweet for them. Maybe wrestling for sure, because that's a character-based sports entertainment.
Sure. I don't know. I just pictured like a video package with like the New Day and Bailey and stuff like that from WWE, I guess, when I heard it. So I thought like
I saw that too.
you know, or even like I was joking, like I would do a deal with Impact Wrestling, you know, like for that song. Like I saw definite potential in Champion. I mean, I in a way I still do. Um, maybe that like whole like whole like sampled voice thing is like a little 2015ish, but
Right.
I don't know. No, I feel like anything that ever really had a shot is out there.
Right. So ultimately, you don't dispute anyone who claims that you haven't led Melvin Burch to success. But to the people who claim that you
Well,
ruined,
no, I would say that I have led him to success in the sense of um, developing a good workflow, a skill set that he didn't have before, like nurturing that skill set and doing as much research and shit on my end to make sure that I was providing him with stuff that was like, all right, I'm going through the pop canon myself and the rock canon, and I'm trying to see like, all right, like what am I feeling out of this stuff? Like, I don't know that I'm not like that's honestly like it's not my area of expertise. So, you know, no, I didn't lead you to financial success. I didn't turn you into the art like a new level of music success and like notoriety that you've ever had. But I feel like in terms of
but
like
here's the thing, that was never what I brought you on board to do. I brought you on board to creative direct. I never said, yo, take me from here and make me a star.
I've also never called myself your manager, so
Right.
I don't even
And
like
maybe that was my own fault early on because I recall using that a lot to describe you. Like,
and
oh,
I've never used that because I don't see myself as a manager. I obviously can assist you in negotiations if need be, but I don't feel like I'm even connected enough to be your manager.
right.
You know, and I've never seen myself as that. Like I said, it's always been like a creative partnership as far as I'm concerned.
Okay. Now, I want to be careful and make sure I'm not just using this as a chance to clear my own name because that's not what this is about. This is about clearing your name or giving more
Well,
insight
I
to
mean,
your role in
I
this
don't even
operation.
I don't even feel like I need to come on here and clear my name. I just feel like there's a lot of people who, you know, you had an 80 episode YouTube show where, you know, I served as the narrator. I appeared in a few episodes, but I don't think you get to know very much about me from that. And I think really when I'm running these other shows, I don't get super into my personal life or my personal feelings outside of the work that we do together.
Right. So, lastly, to end sort of this segment, do you think that you ruined my career or growth or potential as an artist? Do you think I'm like not being myself ever since 2016? Do you feel like you're holding me back from something I want to do?
Oh my God, no. I feel like if anything, you're running headfirst into like some shit I never even thought you'd ever be capable of. And I'm just here to facilitate that journey. And ruined, I mean, no, because I feel like, again, Hot and Ready 1 and 2 and Bad Sunday are to me your three best rap projects in terms of on a technical level. Just
And
as, I
I
mean,
will
and I
have,
almost feel like technical skill is not even objective
here's
or
the thing.
subjective, rather.
Yeah,
You
there
know,
are there are
you're
stuff.
objectively rapping better on those three projects. I don't know how many people heard them, but to me, they're cut above the other Pizza Boy stuff because it's like I've never heard you rap like that. In fact, I'm, you know, in a way, I kind of wish you never retired because I feel like you just hit your stride as a rapper.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, ruined, no, facilitated, yes, and improved upon, yes. I'll take that pat on the back.
Okay. So you say to the people that
The art direction is better than it ever was. The workflow and the work ethic is stronger than it ever was.
that's it.
More
That's
content
not
is being released.
that's not debatable. The work ethic is not debatable.
It's
Now,
not
you may
debatable
not like
whatsoever.
the work, but I'm
The
working
passion
harder.
and the dedication on display is quite frankly nothing short of amazing. I've never worked with anyone that is as hungry as this man. And I'll put you over for a second and just say this is a two-way street. You know, we don't have any contracts here. I don't own any masters. This is not like this is a handshake agreement between two friends, essentially.
It's been
So
that for 3 years.
I have no actual like, I think in the email to Dan Wolf, I said that I like owned your catalog. I don't own his catalog. I don't even
We
own
only
my.
told him that because we didn't think he was a real person.
Yeah, but
That's
like,
a long story.
bro, I don't even own my catalog because of all the samples in it. Like, like, really, I've done nothing but see this man day in and day out bust his ass for minimal returns, and yet the passion never dies, the work ethic never dies. Never seen anything like it. The guy's a fucking beast. Put some respect on his name.
Ultimately, you've been gracious, kind, and dedicated enough to follow me wherever my crazy brain
And here's the thing. Yeah, I haven't made Melvin any money. I also haven't made myself any money. So,
right.
I mean, you
like,
also have to ask, what the fuck am I doing at 32 years old, sitting around and making legacy music with some kid who hasn't even never sang a song in his freaking entire life other than a song for a school project.
That's the truth of the matter.
Like,
we're both suffering here. He's
like,
not oblivious.
Like, you got to realize, like, I got bills and shit too. I've got, responsibilities and demands of me as well. So, like, I'm not sitting here holding someone else back, because essentially that's holding myself back as well.
Right. Exactly. And I think that sums it up. So you kind of dipped into what was going to be my next question, which was, I mean, like, what what is it truly like to work with Melvin Burch? Because they hear us on the shows, and that's candid enough. But when the cameras are off, even more so when I'm not around, what's your feeling about this entire partnership? Like, am I easy to work with? If not, what's difficult about working with me? Any regrets? Like, what's your perspective on this, working in the Melvin Burch camp?
Sometimes you're hosts to like some unnecessary personal life bullshit, like, and like stories about girls, and I'm like, dude, I don't really care about girls, and like don't want to hear about them right now.
Anyone would verify that though, because they all get that. So that's true.
But like mostly, no, just very easy actually, like extremely easy, like so easy. I just really have to just like, I don't ever have to question if the song's gonna come. I don't ever have to question if the assignments are going to be knocked out. Always like good lines of communication.
I mean, look, this is the time for complete honesty. This is the interview. This is Conversations 3. This is the interview with Lyle. Feel free. Like, I'm the interviewer here. Of course, I'm Melvin, but like,
no, I know. I'm not just putting you over because you're interviewing me. I'm just saying, like, I mean, I've stuck around for long enough to make it obvious. Like, I'm kind of in awe, honestly, like, especially with like all the YouTube content that you were producing. Like, nothing whatsoever, no circumstance caused that any delays. Just extremely easy to work with. Like, quite frankly, like, you and George are like the two easiest people for me to work with. It's always like really good open lines of communication, like a thorough understanding of one another, basically. And yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't have the fucking time to work with someone who I hate. So if I hated you, I wouldn't be doing this interview with you right now, and I'd be avoiding you at all costs. So for the most part, good. Sometimes you're host to like some like mental breakdowns that are like a little tough to like sit through and like fully empathize with, because sometimes they're like mental breakdowns over dumb things that like don't make any sense and are completely abstract and ridiculous.
Okay.
But other than that, it's quite frankly a breeze, and it's a pleasure, and it's an honor, and it's thrilling to watch someone take chances and expand their horizons and freaking do stuff that they never thought would be possible, and expand on that, improve in that, and like, yeah, it's just I do believe that, like, the work ethic and that good, like, most of the time pretty good attitude. Sometimes you're like a little like despondent, sometimes you're like, yeah, I'm kind of like depressed and tired and over it, but for the most part, you know, pretty positive vibe for two failures.
You know, like, and that's the reality, you know.
You
So
know, always joking, always, you know, ranting and raving, and yeah, just a good guy, a good sport, good sense of humor, totally comfortable with criticism, like not does not shy away from it, does not cower in the face of it, and it's hard to find artists who are not sensitive about being told that their shit sucks, you know? Like, I
yeah,
mean, that was the thing with like George. George would hit me with that song sucks. And I'd be like, huh, why do you say that? And he'd break it down and I'd be like, yeah, it sucks. You know,
I mean,
could have tried harder. You
here's
know?
the thing. I mean, as far as that goes, before I go into the next question, I think it's probably because I was thirsty for it, because most of my career I put things out, and sort of the gift and the curse of not having fans is that the few fans you have really like your stuff, but you don't know how good or bad your stuff is because there aren't more people out there. The the focus group is like friends and family. You know, like you don't know if you're actually good or not. And so I was always waiting, like, yo, I need somebody to tell me this sucks. Cause like I'm not convinced. Like, I know all these people. They're gonna find something to like about it, even if they don't like it. And you know, again, why I went to you is because we'd had talks about other artists' work, about our own work, and I knew you were someone who would be able to not only be honest with me, but break it down and be thorough. Take
And
it
dude, I'm honest with myself. I don't like most of the music I've made throughout the years.
right. And
I
so
don't think I'm the shit.
right. So to the next question, um, you know, we talk about, okay, maybe Mools has failed to take Mel to this place, stardom, but that was never the goal. But the thing is, we talk about failures. You recently sent me like basically your own commentary on like your entire discography, like the liner notes.
Well,
And
that's not quite accurate. It cuts off in
well,
25.
right, you didn't
I
finish it.
haven't finished it because it's like paragraphs about each project.
Right. But you sent me this and I wanted to talk about this because this is, I think, proof of, you know, how you look at music, you know, of that we make in general.
And for the
Um,
record, this is liner notes that nobody has. These
right.
are my liner notes to
Your
myself.
personal notes to
So
you.
if I get like Alzheimer's, I'm like, oh, okay, I've done these projects and this is how I feel about them.
Right. So I think this is a great thing to sort of discuss because it's shows your character and how realistic you are, you know, as someone who's been helping me make these like, you
I
know,
now don't get it twisted. I treat myself like I treat you.
exactly, you know. I mean, just to go right into it. I mean, your liner notes about your very first demos here. The first sentence of all the liner notes is in response to the project, you just say really bad. You say, I mean, I know plenty of artists who look back at their earliest material with a certain sense of regret, but I literally didn't even know how to use the software I was making the music on for these two projects. You know, you're not hiding from that. You're not trying to be like, oh, well, you know, in a quaint sense, it was like, no, you're like, it sucks. It's amateurish and it sucks.
It sucks and nobody should listen to it or want it,
Right.
in my opinion.
Right. You know, you're not shy
And
about,
no, I didn't know how to use the software. I told you guys that earlier, though.
right. You did, you
I
know,
didn't know how to use the software when I made the movie.
right. Um, I mean, you say about the metamorphosis, you know, like it was a cobbled together project. Most artists wouldn't, I mean, granted, this is 9 years ago now, so you're kind of free to speak about it in that sense, but most artists wouldn't want to reveal that it was cobbled together or even admit that, you know, it's here we go. You're talking about Who Are We, Part 2, Return in the Fifth Dimension. You say it's the first Who Are We sequel, admittedly cashing in, and you say if you could call it that, seeing as I made probably less than $2,000 off my music total in my 10 plus years of doing this on the popularity of the Night Creatures album, which you have stated is your favorite of your instrumental albums, right?
Yes.
Right. So you were trying to like hurry up with the sequel. You
I'm
know,
trying to hurry up with it.
well, to
I mean,
capitalize.
the sequel to Who Are We?
Right.
Yeah, not to Night Creatures.
Right. No, not to Night Creatures, but like after Night Creatures.
Yeah.
This was like your next thing. You know? And I mean, you say a lot here. Smiles of a Summer Night, which I was on, right?
Yeah, that was the first project you ever appear on.
Yeah.
Of mine, 2011.
With the song Have Fun. You know, you mentioned that it got its name from the 1955 Ingmar Bergman film. You say it remains one of your most popular projects. It's generally well regarded, but you say it's too on the nose for your taste, perhaps even a bit too earnest.
Yep.
You know? Like, I mean,
leaned a little too heavy into the concept of summer with that album.
Right.
Like we get it, summer, you know, cool.
Right. I mean, most artists wouldn't admit something like this. When you say you're talking about Let Them Eat Cake, which you put out in 2011, you wrote, you know, you really like the smell of your own S word when you make an album inspired by, quote, the last 20 years of 18th century France, as well as the uncertain as well as the uncertain economic and political landscape of the present times. Like, you're able to look back and be like, yo, that is like wild pretentious. Or like
yeah,
lofty for no good reason.
It was exactly that. But I think I said something about like I was trying to piggyback off of the Baroque maximalism of Kanye West, Twisted Fantasy, Watch the Throne, like, you know,
right.
Iconography, I suppose. I don't know. Bad decisions all around.
Right. So all of that to say, like, you're aware, and awareness is something that I value extremely, you know, and I wouldn't be working with you if I didn't think you were aware of not only what we were doing and the implications and what it might mean, but the world at large. So, you know, as you, the creative director, as me, the artist, we know what this looks like. We're coming from rap and now we're making pop, and it looks like, yo, this guy came in. And
well, yeah, I mean, from the outside, it might look like I totally whitewashed the operation.
Right. This white guy came in and derailed Melvin. He's not himself anymore. He's singing like this, you know.
Well, they don't know about that yet.
Yeah, they haven't heard some of those songs, but yeah, like that's what it looks like. And as far as what things look like and, you know, misconceptions, here's one that I want to ask, because there isn't really a lot of room to be like, is this like, am I not perceiving this correctly? Is
okay
an incorrect notion? A recent controversy this month.
Controversy.
So, yeah, controversy. A few days ago, actually. I wanted to ask you about this. Okay. So recently, you went on Twitter.com, a website that we both feel strongly about in terms of it being a complete nightmare.
Yeah, it's a total toxic wasteland of bad people.
Yeah, and
absolutely can't stand that website.
Half-baked quote takes, you know, and a lot of sycophants and a lot of recycled.
And I've maintained for the entirety of my tenure there, I'm only here because I have something to promote. I don't know why anyone would be on this site if they didn't.
Right. I mean, you know, like I get that it's social media, but like I've seen the damage that trying to be social, what it's worked into as far as being social goes. I don't think it's really about being social anymore. I think it's just about yelling over everyone else and being heard. That's what it's
right. Or being an ass kisser, opportunist.
It's a lot of recycled
grifter weirdo.
Yeah, it's just recycled memes, platitudes, thoughts, feelings. Everyone's afraid of you know, whatever they're saying not being it chief or it being cancel worthy or what have you. Everyone's afraid. It's just not a cool place to be, if you ask me. But you got on Twitter.
Yeah.
You were highly opinionated which is something that you don't usually do on Twitter like that. Like most people, you know.
No, my takes are pretty even-handed, I would say.
FF takes it all. Most times you're just like observing something in nature. Or
Most
like,
times I'm saying, "My God, I'm shaking" at like two people as they talk about like type 2 diabetes and premarital intercourse. Like I literally like hardly take that website and application
yeah.
seriously.
Shout out to at the Frame Movement on Twitter because
Yes, and also I'll shout out Bad Take Justin.
okay, but you know you went on there and you let off this series of tweets that caused a mini firestorm. You know, um, and I wanted to ask because I don't tweet recreationally. I haven't since 2016. I've been using the Melvin Burch account as a broadcast system. Basically, I post whatever's going on in my career and I get off. I don't tweet about what I ate today, or what I feel about the latest album, or this, that, or
Oh
the other.
yeah, and dude, up until like very recently, I went on a long hiatus of posting any opinions
Right. We're
about music. I would just talk about wrestling.
right. So we're pretty much in the same school of thought. But recently, seemingly out of nowhere, you posted a series of tweets about Michael Jackson. Uh,
Michael,
yeah, Myko, as we call him in this inner circle. Here's the question:
mm-hmm.
Why did you post those now deleted Michael Jackson tweets?
I deleted all my tweets actually, or most of them.
As a result of that.
Yeah, because somebody did something bad that they shouldn't have done.
Right, in defense of Michael.
Right, and it involved my personal information, and I had to shut that down.
Right. So clearly, whatever you were tweeting was
nuclear.
Yeah, it incensed people to the degree of attacking your personal life. And so why did you post those tweets though? As someone who has not been opinionated, especially to that degree, on Twitter or the internet at large.
Well, I got 7,100 unique impressions on those tweets.
Okay.
And I mean, it was highly interacted with. I mean, every minute more tweets were coming in, and I was responding to all of them.
Right.
So I was keeping the fire burning. I did it to prove a point.
And what was that point?
I can play the same game that all these fuckboys play if I wanted
here's
to.
The thing. I knew that because I knew you were going to do it because you were telling me you were going to do it. But people who are close to me.
Now, that's not to say that some of the things that I expressed weren't my genuine feelings on the subject.
Right. No, they were. But you phrased it in such a way that you knew it would garner a reaction. In such a way that you knew would garner a reaction.
Yes.
People close to me, I was trying to explain what you were doing, which will lead into the final question. But they were saying, yeah, but does he really want to be known for that? And like, does he really want to because that reflects on you as like him being your creative director, that, that drags you into it. And it's like, oh, you're managed by that guy that's like being what they said it was malicious on Twitter about Michael Jackson. Now, here's the thing. How malicious can you be about a guy who, I mean, we'll get into it, but you say you did it to prove this point.
I wasn't malicious at all, by the way. I was very polite to every single person that responded to me.
No. Of course, to the people that but like the tweets that you sent initially, they said that they.
Oh, they were. I would say, yeah, nuclear, incendiary, absolutely, hands down, definitely. Whether you agree with what I have to say or not, the way I expressed it was.
Would you agree that it was malicious in tone? Because that's what I was hearing.
Sure.
Okay.
I agree. I think so. Even though, like, there's a different way that I could have gone about it. Absolutely. Right. With presenting the evidence and explaining what it is that they're seeing with regard for why I'm saying what I'm saying. But yeah, I think I did it intentionally in the way that I did to prove a point.
Right. That, and you say to play that game being gaining attention by any means necessary, which
Yeah.
we're not fans of. We're not fans of that game. The
No,
point,
I've pushed against that current the entire time we've been working together.
and so have I. Here's the thing. We're aware
And
of
I keep my thoughts and opinions to myself for the most part.
right. We're aware of the currency of attention and how everyone is out here doing whatever they can to cut through the noise. You were proving, I guess, that would you say you were proving that you can play that game as well, and it's it comes easily to you. You know just what to say.
I know exactly what buttons to push. That to be your average Twitter fuckboy with the incendiary opinions, getting screen grabbed and thrown on people's timelines and called all sorts of names. I can do it if I want to.
Does that tie into the idea that you could have steered Melvin Burch in the direction of whatever people think I need to be going in to gain right?
Yeah,
now,
and I mean, listen, before Kanye came out with the MAGA hat, I could have said, yo, throw the MAGA hat on. That'll get people going.
And it would have.
It would have, but...
but think how much more they would have thought you were ruining my career or that you were whitewashing the album.
Right, but there's that. Here's the thing. You want that success and attention, In
this era, that's what you have to do. That's the kind of thing you have to do.
As you have once said, sorry we didn't swag our way up the billboards. But I know that there's a certain ugliness and maliciousness to doing that and playing that game. And the thing is that before you ask me, well, if you got the keys and you know what buttons to push, why not just push those buttons and say fuck it, and be that guy? Well, because I'm not that guy.
And neither am I. And, I think we've both done our best.
And I have a family out there. I have friends, and
I say that's my line. I say that all the time. I have a family.
But I do. I have a family. I have people who care about me, and I'm not going to go out there and be the guy who says fucked up things about Michael Jackson. But I could be that guy if you have to understand, I know how to play the game, but the game is so ugly.
Right.
So ugly. And I don't like compromising my personal morality to get a shot in the freaking carnival.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if I can,
I think I meant the circus, but yeah.
We talked about that today on another piece of Patreon content.
Well, we talked about it today, but they're hearing this a week later, so technically we talked about it last week.
Right. So, what would you say? I mean, if you're willing to go in depth, do you want to talk about what exactly was said that was so incendiary?
No, I don't think we need to relitigate it. I think I proved my point, and it was to do a hat trick for the Beyonce and Jay-Z video to prove that the engagement is in this direction, not in that direction. Right. It was just merely an exercise, and I don't want to relitigate it. I do feel like Michael Jackson should not get off scot-free with people, and that he is not just an innocent man who has suffered at the hands of an abusive father. He has done bad things to people, in my opinion, and I have evidence coming out of his own mouth to back that up, that things he's done that I deem unacceptable, that I think any decent person should deem unacceptable. And if you don't like what I'm saying about it, then, we don't have to go any further. I don't really want to get into that. But I just want to say that just because I feel negatively about someone doesn't mean that I'm just going to go on Twitter and who the hell am I? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not the moral authority around here. I can be disgusted with someone's actions. I can feel like someone is whack, or, someone is not getting appraised as a human being the way I see them. You know, like I don't do that.
I mean,
And
the
you
thing
should
is,
know
it
that
wasn't
from
a hot take. You didn't present an argument or a perspective that hasn't been presented before.
oh my
You
god,
just
it's like the most prevailing thing about him that people argue about.
right.
But the thing is like I'm not here to talk about him because yeah, I do have my feelings about him, but he's not the point. The point was just to show that if you want
If you
engagement,
really want attention, it's not that hard to gain. But
right, just
you're
what are you
gonna
willing
have
to
to
sacrifice in order to attain it?
right.
You
And
know,
think
it's
about
like a
that before
very
you
like Faustian bargain essentially. Like, are you willing to trade in the things that you believe in for a shot at people, you
paying
know,
attention.
knowing who you are?
Yeah. And as I have to say, this is a lesson to the people, as I have to say, you know, don't assume that the unsuccessful people are unsuccessful because they don't know anything or they're dumb or they don't know what's happening. Like sometimes they're like just trying to still play within their own personality. They don't want to have to act out for attention. I think we fall into that group where for the past, well, our whole careers, you know, we don't want to while out for attention. We
And
would
you
like,
want to know something? Even though I do believe at its core what I was saying, again, the way I went about it, I felt bad afterwards. I felt like a bad person. You know, I felt like a worthless, like an angry, bitter, snarky, like someone who I wouldn't want to be around.
right. And
You
I
know what
would
I mean?
imagine that's how these people probably feel all the time, which leads to more of that behavior.
But I
So you
don't be.
get it.
I mean, here's the thing. Today, I've been making tweets about this new Nas song, this Jiro of rap that everyone is getting their jokes in on. But my analysis of those songs is thoughtful, even-handed analysis. I'm not going for shock points here in my, appraisal of this Nas song. I'm not bringing up things that Nas may or may not have done
You
because
know,
that's just not the kind of person that I am. I just know that if I flip that switch, I could easily be that person, and I don't like who that person is.
right.
But
So,
I don't regret proving my point because my point was proven.
right. Yeah.
Simple as that.
Okay. So basically,
But
yeah,
I apologize to those who thought that I was doing that like in some sort of like I didn't know what I was doing.
right. Or that you were out to like destroy this man once and for all. It was really for
Me?
the sake of proving a point, not because you woke up and you're like, I'm tired of Maiko. Like that wasn't it. And a lot of people, for whatever reason, mean
But here's the
you
thing.
said
Then
was
then
all factual.
they proved my point as well because they reacted. When was the last time they reacted to something that I did?
Right. Right.
Now again, I probably would have deleted those tweets anyway, even if someone didn't threaten me, you know?
Right.
But it's like something that I felt this like disgusting pit of regret in my stomach after doing it because it's like it's always been this easy.
Yeah.
And
So
I'll never be this big of a piece of shit.
yeah, so basically before you think someone's unsuccessful because they're dumb, consider whether they're unsuccessful because they don't want to have to abide by the current parameters of success. Stay within those current parameters. So uh to lead to the final question, you speak about that point being proven. Why were you, particularly interested in proving that point recently? Well, I hear that there's something on the horizon involving you. Um, sort of, I guess I've heard that this is sort of the logical conclusion to our work together the past 3 years. Um,
In
it's
fact, your first taste of it is actually available now.
yeah, yeah, it will be available now by the time they hear this. Um, tell the people about this show that you're launching that you by all means, really mastermind it or present it to me a couple years ago. And we just this year decided, hey, this is a viable idea and this is primed to be the thing to replace us like fighting against futility and making music. Tell.
Right. So the guy who tried to whitewash this operation and change Melvin Burch into a white man like Dave,
Into black Billy Joe or black Bruce Springsteen. Yeah.
right, has been urging him to do this show with me for over a year now. We actually recorded an 8.5 hour episode pilot last year that got scrapped because Melvin wasn't quite ready to take that leap into doing it. But I've actually been trying to come back to rap, quote unquote. I never really left rap. I made all the beats for This Is Melvin.
Right.
So I never left rap. I'm still here in rap. I've actually never left. I just put out a 30-something track beat tape this year, which was all the beats that Melvin used for the This Is Melvin background music. So, I'm still waiting on Uncommon NASA to, call me, text me, and say, okay, it's time to lock in and do this album. I've never stopped making rap for other people, essentially.
Right.
Whether it's making beats for your show or, even GM from the Blind Box. He wanted to start rapping again. Who did he call? Me. And I sent him beats. So I've been around and I've been trying to get this guy back to rap.
Well,
but at the same time,
personally, it was a conflict of interest in terms of me being an artist and embarking on the journey of this new show endeavor.
Right, which by all means would be a very time-consuming endeavor.
Well, yeah, time-consuming, but like the look is questionable because it's like, how are you going to be an artist and do this? Now, right. I don't really care, especially because I'm no longer looking at my artistry as my primary source of income or what I want to do with my life or be known for. I mean, I would very much like to be known for my musical output, but I'm no longer looking at this as what defines me. Rather, the ideal is that in the future, it'll be like half and half, like, yo, he was an artist and he did this incredible show with Mules, with Lyle. But yeah, what is this show, Lyle?
Well, it was originally called, until a couple hours ago, Students of the Game. But now, due to the fact that there actually are 2 or 3 other shows called Students of the Game,
right,
and in an attempt to not piggyback off of what they're doing, we are launching something that, honestly, when we snagged the domain name, I was shocked that this domain name had not been bought up yet. As of today, the first episode of Rap Ranking will have officially been released. It will be covering Idlewild by Outkast. And what we'll be doing in this early preseason is doing shows once a month, but once the album, Melvin's album, is finally released next year, we're going to transition this show into a weekly format. And the goal...
be the thing that we do going forward.
Yeah, it's going to be the main focus of our work together going forward. And that's not to say that we're never going to do another music project together, but this is going to be the focus going forward, which will encompass us listening to, discussing, rating, and ranking every single hip-hop album ever made.
What was that? What did you just say?
I said we will be discussing, rating, ranking, and dissecting every single hip-hop album ever made.
Oh, so you did say what I thought you just said. Every album, huh?
Yes. So starting monthly on Patreon, and then next year, next summer, moving to a weekly format.
So this preseason lasts basically until this album we're working on is completed and released.
Yes, which is going to be likely in the spring, summer of 2020. Okay. At which point we will shift our efforts to doing this show on a weekly basis and There will be a website with a live, I mean, honestly, this preseason is going to give us the opportunity to get a logo, establish our website, and get everything built while we're still delivering the content that, you know, you get every month on patreon.com/Melvin Burch. Slowly setting plans in motion for a big pivot back to rap, but in a different role than ever before. And what I believe will be a success. So am I satisfied with the level of success we've achieved? Not even close, but I am very hopeful. And I think the obviously, like, my science experiments on Twitter and the engagement that we've received on certain clips versus others leads me to believe that this will be our biggest success ever, beyond Pizza Boy, beyond Blase Misfits, Lyle Horowitz, any of that stuff.
Right, because you have observed, I mean, yeah, from your experiment and talking about Myco, from our clip from Live from the Archive, like the impromptu argument about Jay-Z and Beyonce and that album and where it fits in Jay-Z's discography, clearly there is and has always been a market for people discussing music, hip hop specifically, but the way in which we're going about this is new. Like what are the fine details of this show? You say we are going to be
Okay, so basically, I'm going to take them actually through our show notes real quick.
Okay.
So, on an average episode, you get an intro. Each week, we'll start by quickly explaining the concept behind the show and explaining what the rating system is.
So we have a patented Mules and Mel rating system that has been in existence for many years now. And we will be sharing this with the world. If you go listen to the episode, it's on the show. We explain how that system works. It's not a crazy system. It's not a convoluted system. It's literally a 0 to 10 scale with descriptions that are attached to each individual number.
Right. So after we explain what the concept behind the show is and the rating system, we cover a very brief This Week in Hip Hop, where we discuss the major stories from that week in brief detail.
Right.
And we'll
there are
also
plenty of other podcasts now that discuss hip hop in general.
Right. I'm talking like this is going to be, when I say brief, like 5-10 minutes.
Right.
We'll also discuss what happened that week in hip hop history, which is also very brief. You know, so if, let's say, this week in hip hop history, you know, EPMD released Strictly Business.
Right.
Okay, there you go. That quick. Now, at that point, we segue into that week's album. But before we start giving you our ratings about it, we bring you into the background information.
So we're on this show, you know, you use the phrase deep dive.
Yep.
Which is more than just like going on Wikipedia and just reading Wikipedia to y'all. I mean, you can go there if you want to know about an album. This is really scouring the internet for any and all information about this album and presenting it to people.
Right. Let's say an album.
All the context they would need going into the portion of the show where we actually discuss each song track by track and rate.
Right. I don't think we can talk about, say, Hell Hath No Fury by the Clips without discussing the label limbo the Clips were in for so many years that prevented this album from being released. So we get into the really like the background specifics, history of the creation of that album. And then we transition into the actual album review.
Yeah, so when we take it song by song, and to be clear, you know, you see a lot of internet reviews or podcasts, they probably just take a handful of songs, or they might go song by song with just a few comments about each song. Bro, how we've gone like 30 minutes about one song before. You know,
I mean, depending on the artist, but yeah.
So when we say song by song, we mean song by song. That includes intros, interludes, skits, brief asides, whatever, hidden tracks. We're discussing it all, each song, and how we feel about that song. Now, are we telling people whether the song is good or bad?
No.
Oh, okay. What are we explaining with this thing? What are we actually saying about these songs?
Well, I don't know what good or bad actually means. I only know if I like or dislike something.
Right. So you're saying that we can only speak authoritatively about our enjoyment of these songs.
That's right. I could never claim to be an expert
No one
on
can talk about art subject
on the
or
definitive quality of these songs. However, that doesn't mean that people aren't going to get upset that our opinions may not align directly with theirs.
oh,
So,
and that's what I assume that's what you're counting on with the appeal of this show.
well, that and the extensive research and great rapport between the two hosts who, you know, have deep insight into this stuff. I mean, it's not like, I mean, I just ran down everything I've ever done, basically, you know?
Right. So you're not making this show to be like a shock jock or to provoke people
No,
with
it's not the Michael Jackson uh, show.
tweet, the Michael
It's
Jackson
not
tweet
the show.
show. Right. Okay.
No, it's not.
But you're
Because
aware.
I'm so, like I keep saying, I'm such a fan. That's not even what I'm here to do.
Right.
I'm here to just like to be as like open and honest about how I feel about something as possible.
Right. So we're not doing this because we know like our opinions, or like we're not doing this to
I know that
purposely have.
but here's the thing. I know that like I mean, I was just telling you there was a writer who was threatening violence on another writer for not saying that an album was a classic that he thought was a classic. He literally was saying that he was going to make this man bleed. So I don't have to be a shocking hot take guy. My opinion about something is naturally going to ruffle feathers. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you I'm not counting on people being mad and engaging us in that way
Right,
because
because you are counting on that, but you're not going out of your way to do it. You just know that naturally
no,
you don't.
I have no intention of going out of my way to do it because then I'm going to start burying myself into a hole that I'm not going to be able to get out of.
Right. You're just counting on the fact that you know that your opinions are honest and oftentimes run counter to whatever is being gargled in the collective.
Sometimes, but sometimes I'm like here's the thing, just briefly, and we'll see if I still feel this way when we actually go and review them. Kendrick Lamar.
Okay.
I think Good Kid, Mad City is overrated, but I do think it's good. I think it's just like a 6 out of 12 off the top of my head.
You meaning you like 6 songs out of the 12 that are available.
Yeah, if there are 12 songs on there in the standard edition of that album, I like half of them, I'm pretty sure. I'd have to go back and really like re-listen. It's been a while, but I do think it's a little overrated. I think To Pimp a Butterfly is like more my speed musically.
Uh-huh.
And I like some of the choices that were made on there. Like in my head, I don't have a number for you on that one, but like I feel positively towards it.
Right.
And then Damn, I don't like at all. And I know that runs counter. Like, so here's the thing. Like, I don't think people would really like beef over my Pimp a Butterfly review, but they may think I'm crazy for not loving Good Kid, and they may think I'm really crazy for hating Damn.
Right.
But that's like I can't help that. I just don't really like Damn, let's say, you know, like I'm not going to tell you I do. I'm not going to say I like it and then lie to you.
Right.
That doesn't make any sense. I'd rather be honest and don't hate me because it's not a personal shot at Kendrick. You know, it's a personal shot, if you will. If anyone, it's at that, you know, it's at that album, it's at that song, it's at whatever, you know, like. And also, I'm willing to be proven wrong. I'm willing to go into Damn and go, yo, I don't know what angle I was listening to this at from before, but given some space from this and going back, I like this a lot more than I thought I did. Who knows? I'm open to it. I don't have a concrete idea of how I feel about something until I go back to it. because there are albums that I thought I loved, and then I go back and I'm like, huh, okay, I like some of these songs. I don't really like this album that much.
Right. So, it's more than just assigning an arbitrary number to a song.
No, it's
The
about
number, the
it's
number
it's
won't.
actually the numbers are forget about the numbers. It's about the numbers just give us the rating. What
Right.
it's about is identifying how I feel about it, expressing that openly and honestly, and then you say, well, okay, well, if you like it, then that's a 7. If you don't like it, that's a 4. Right? So if I say, yo, I don't like this, I know I'm at a 4 already.
Right.
I know I'm not at a 5 because a 5 is in the middle.
Right.
I don't love it or hate it. But if I say, oh man, I hate this, I know I'm at a 4 or lower at that point. So the feeling comes first, the number comes second. But again, that's just my number. I loved Rosebud's Revenge by Rock Marciano. You liked 2 songs on that project.
Right.
I thought it was damn near flawless other than the intro.
Right.
So, and that just goes back to like, I have no sway over your opinions, dude. You think The Carters is better than Reasonable Doubt. You're a psycho. Like, I don't actually have influence over you. I can just show you something and say, hey, I don't know, listen to this or watch this. I think you might like it.
To make it clear, people, statistically, the way that the rating system works, the way the numbers shake out, the Carters, Everything Is Love, statistically scored higher than Reasonable Doubt.
We'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it on the show one day.
So we review the album, then we reveal our final ratings and add the album to the board. The board is essentially the master list of all the albums we've had reviewed up until that point. So you'll see where it ranks amongst every other album we review.
In hip-hop history.
In hip-hop history. Then we do the wild card segment, which is different for every season. This season, we're doing something a little weird and funny. Yeah, so next season, maybe it'll be something different. I don't know. It's the wild card segment. It's a bit of levity after like the deep dive.
Well, here's the thing. You say levity. Are you saying that this show won't be entertaining for the meat of it?
No, it will. But I just think like after really like, the dive is a journey. You make it to the end of that dive, you give the final ratings. It's like, I don't want to end on the rating. I want to give them, something like a kind of something like distinctly not serious.
Right.
Something fun. So the wild card segment for this season, if you've seen Us, the film by Jordan Peele.
Rather, if you've seen the trailer for Us.
Yeah, even if you've seen the trailer, you've heard the flip of Looney's 5 on it into a horror movie, dreadful, scary, operatic theme song. So this season, the wild card segment is for each album we review, we will each give our rendition of what we would make a horror movie theme song from that album.
The song most likely, or what we feel from each of us, would be best converted into a horror movie theme song.
Right. And then in the next season, which will be the official first season of Rap Ranking, we will do another segment. So, don't get too attached to these. They're going to switch up basically every 12 albums. And finally, we basically just announce whatever next week's album is going to be, or in the case of the Patreon, next month's album. And then we sign off. And all in all, it's going to be, I envision like anywhere between like 2 to 3 hours an episode, honestly.
Probably, maybe, most likely longer. I mean, we'll get, as we go on, I imagine we get even better at being quick and concise about how we feel. But here's the thing. So we got this preseason / pilot season coming while we finish this album. Once the album is finished and out, then the official first season begins. By then, we'll probably have the logo ready. No, we will have the logo.
No, I mean, we'll probably have the logo for like, honestly, like in the next week or two. But
right. The logo, the website will be live. Everything will be public and ready to go. That's what
we literally just locked down the domain hours ago. So
right. So this show with this rating system, I said that these numbers actually aren't arbitrary because there's meaning behind them. But the show isn't about the numbers; it's about describing how you got to that number.
And about those albums. If you're like a huge fan of, I don't know, any album really, and we cover it, this will be essentially the most thorough analysis of that album that will be available on the internet, whether you agree with it or not.
Wow.
Nobody has discussed music to this degree unless we're talking about literal documentaries that are made like, freaking, I don't even think, I mean, that's an hour, like I watched The Diary or whatever of whoever, Unsung, and, all these shows on TV about these artists, man, they breeze through the career in an hour, the whole career.
Right. Well, this is a large claim. You say we're going to be ranking every hip hop album, and this is going to be like the most comprehensive document on these albums.
Yes, and we'll also, once we get going on the official weekly schedule, we will be launching a Patreon with bonus content where we're going to be discussing stuff. Because the one thing about this show, we don't discuss anything that's 12 months old or younger. Right. We wait at least a full calendar year until
it's eligible for review.
Right. So nothing from July, or rather nothing from August
of 2018
to 18 onward to now is eligible right now.
Right.
And then, basically every month we get a new list of albums that could be added into the...
Now, here's the thing. Now, I guess you were saying with this Patreon, I hear there's going to be people who can sign up, can request we do albums.
Well, yeah, there's going to be two elements. So the Patreon is most likely going to be set up where you get a weekly bonus show where we actually discuss a new hip hop album that came out, and they won't count towards the actual board because they're essentially first listen reviews. So you'll get to hear our first listen, and then who knows, maybe a year or two later, we actually review that album, and you can see how our feelings have either changed or stayed the same throughout time after that first listen. Also, in terms of what you were saying, request, yeah, there is going to be a tier available where if you donate, I don't know how much, but it's not going to be totally cheap but not overly expensive. You will actually be able to request us to listen to a hip-hop album. It has to be an actual hip-hop album that was released in somewhere, like right. For real, like not the actually, no, we're not gonna open the door for that. It's gotta have a barcode on it.
Okay, so you're saying no mixtapes?
No. Well, I mean, that's
you're saying like no like fan made like Dat Piff compilations, or like
no, like the freaking dude from the bus stop. Like, I know this guy from the bus stop. He sold me his CD. Like, unless that thing is on,
it's available online somewhere.
If it's on like iTunes, or you could get it on like a CD or something on Amazon, sure. It has to be a real album, because we got too many people these days zipping things up that aren't real albums.
They don't even zip stuff up anymore. They just
got to be somewhere. It's got to be on the services. Like, it's got to be somewhere like tangible. It can't be like a burned CD from the guy at the bus stop.
Right.
But where are we going with this again? Every hip hop album. The request. So yeah, basically the request is you can request us to listen and do the 2, 3, 4 hour deep dive on that album, which will count towards the board and will be released to the public. But right. You have the opportunity essentially to act as executive producer on our episode and steer the conversation in a certain way. So if you want to, I don't know, put $40-$50 down to have us review B.O.B.'s first album because you're just dying to know what we think about it, then there will be some sort of option like that. We just have to figure out, the logistics of it. We're going to have essentially 10, 11 months before we're at this point. So we have a lot of stuff to build on right now.
I can already hear them calling us crazy at $40-$50. So
yeah, but I know that they're saying that,
but they don't know the amount of work we're about to put in,
and they don't know that other people have done similar things for more money.
Right. in different realms.
And
Not
also, it would not just be paying $50 outright. If you've pledged $50 total over a course of several months, let's say you're on a $5 tier and gotten you've contributed over $50 or $40 over time, then you're granted a request as well. So it's like you could either pay for a request or you could put down the bare minimum, get in line, and eventually we'll get to your thing.
right.
I mean, again, a lot of this stuff is still in development. I don't know what we're doing with all of this yet, but the show itself, when it goes public, this show will be public. The preseason will be public after, patrons get it early, but they will get it, the world will hear these early episodes.
Right.
The world will hear us figure this stuff out, but it's a soft launch. I don't want to put too much emphasis on it. Just want to post it up and say, hey, it's out.
Right.
The emphasis comes when we switch over.
Right. Once the album is out and we can fully pivot into doing this full time.
Right. Other than that, like, I'm not thinking about the students, or rather the rap ranking Patreon right now. I'm still getting used to calling it rap ranking, to be honest with you.
Now, it is rankings, right? Because that's the domain name I paid for.
I keep saying ranking. My bad. It's a new name. I just came up with it hours ago. Like I said,
I was making sure. And we talked about how that alone will stir the pot because it sounds very authoritative. It's like, oh, we like raprankings.com. Like we're the authority on rap rankings. Like we know what we're doing. We know what it sounds like. But I mean, I guess that leads me to the final part of this question. So we're going to be doing all this, and you claim it's going to be entertaining on top of all that. It's going to hold people's attention.
I think so. Yeah.
Huh.
I don't think they've ever heard people talk about music this thoroughly, honestly.
I mean, not just this thoroughly, but could it be said that Moles, Lyle, maybe even Mel or Melvin haven't quite shown their full hand in terms of their true personalities?
Well, I'll leave you on this. Unless there's more questions.
Oh, there aren't any more questions.
Okay. I'll leave you on this. You said that I wanted to be a filmmaker more than anything.
Uh-huh.
That's not true.
Oh. Okay.
Unfortunately, the thing I really wanted to do, I can't do.
What's that?
I wanted to be a professional wrestler.
Ah.
And what happened was I took a bump, which for those who don't know what a bump is, it's
not
falling.
Cocaine. It's not cocaine.
No, I've never done cocaine, but taking a bump is essentially falling on your back, learning how to fall.
Because this is a choreographed.
It's fake.
Yeah.
So
the impacts are real, but this is, it's a dance basically.
So I thought because I watched Tough Enough that I was getting professional wrestling training. I was already on the wrestling team in school. So because I loved Kurt Angle so much, I wanted to learn Olympic style wrestling, and I was in a backyard wrestling league. So one summer, I asked David to give me his best clothesline because I said, you don't know how to bump. And you're never going to make it in this business if you don't know how to bump. Let me show you how to bump. So I told David, come at me with a clothesline, and I'll show you how to do a good flat back bump. So we're on it's like a wooden deck. We're not even on the trampoline. And he hits me with the clothesline, and I go back just like they showed me on Tough Enough. And I hit that flat back bump. And I swear to God, it's one of the most painful things I've ever felt in my entire life. I ended up getting nerve damage in my left shoulder that to this day I still have effects from.
Oh, man.
So after that, and then this is another thing I didn't talk about in this interview, I broke my ankle skateboarding in 2007.
Okay.
Not long after I made those beats with no drums.
Right.
So or maybe when I was on the mend from making those beats, or rather on the mend from the broken ankle. But I essentially screwed myself to the point where like that was not going to be an option. But I screwed myself at a very young age. Like I was 15 when I got nerve damage in my shoulder,
Yeah.
and at that point, that was like the wake up call. Like, yo, stop messing around with this stuff. In fact, like, stop watching it if this is what it's making you do.
Right.
You're the laughing stock of the school, and now your left shoulder is fucked up. Not even my shoulder. Like, when you think shoulder, you think like up top. I'm talking like the wing of my back shoulder. So I have like a weird, like numb, kind of dull pain there ever since. And effectively, like, and then I started going to independent wrestling shows around New York and seeing some of the shit that these guys were doing, which now has become like pretty much commonplace in the business. And I actually look back and like, thank God I got nerve damage in my shoulder and broken ankle skateboarding to like completely derail me from ever even trying to pursue that.
Right.
And like you see all the wrestler deaths and everything like that. It's just like a bad, like, I love wrestling, I still do, but like there's a dark side to it for sure. And maybe I was spared from that, but my love for the theatrics and pageantry of it hasn't faded. And a good promo. I love a good shit talker, but that's, I'm from New York, bro. Like that's what we do.
Right.
We talk shit. We've been talking shit for 3 hours almost.
Well, I mean, we've been pretty professional and cordial. That talk is coming.
No, but
along with a lot of knowledge.
I'm saying, but we're just talking shit. At the end of the day, like I'm talking to you, you're talking to me. I'm not putting on a performance right now for anybody. I said at the beginning of this interview that they're going to get Lyle.
Right.
So they're getting Lyle right now. I'm not doing any of this Lyle Moolah or any of that stuff. Mools. Like I'm saying, this is just what I do. And I gravitate toward, like, I see like the fucking Situation on Jersey Shore. I'm like, oh my God, he's such a star. He's a stud. Look at this guy. Because like everyone else is like, oh my God, he's such a scumbag. I'm like, no, you don't get it. He's fucking Bugs Bunny. He's the star of this show. He's the glue that keeps this whole thing together.
Right.
Like he's the draw. He's the entertainment. You don't like him? Good. He's not supposed to like him. He's the bad guy.
Right.
Bet you want to see what he does next, though. Like, exactly. and I'm from like, grew up like The Rock, like all that like swaggering and shit. Like all the, like, come on, bro. Like, dude, this stuff, rap, wrestling, it gave me confidence, man. And it made me want to entertain. That's it. That's all I'm here for, man. To entertain.
Wow. So would you say that is a conversation with Lyle?
Oh yeah.
A man.
That doesn't mean that I covered every last inch of my life. I don't think that's possible.
Oh, right. But
would you say relevant to what is relevant to, and remaining with the level of privacy that I'm comfortable with.
Right. So Lyle, the man born to entertain, interviewed by Melvin. I guess it would take an interview with take you interviewing me for me to finally finish that sentence. So,
or people queuing up the playlist on YouTube and watching all 80 episodes of This Is Melvin.
Well, here's the thing, bro. We know that that's PG. So, yeah, I mean, they get my life, but they don't even get it like this.
I mean, quite frankly, I don't think highly enough of myself to think that anyone other than possibly Dan Wolf is even listening to this. So if you are, I appreciate it. I mean, if you've had questions about me, I hope they've been answered. If you didn't like me before and you still don't like me, then so be it. If you like me now, but you didn't like me before, welcome to the fold, baby.
Wow. Well, I hope I did my job as an interviewer. I mean,
yeah, it was a great interview. I really feel, actually feel great.
Wow. not just saying that.
No, I mean honestly,
That's something I don't really say. Like, not
Here's the
just
thing.
saying that.
I've done other interviews like this, like audio interviews, and like I'm always on the defensive. I'm always talking in circles. I'm saying like weird shit that like I go back on. I'm like, why was I saying that?
Yeah, that happened to me when GM interviewed me.
But I talk to you so much that I feel like I can be completely open and honest, and I think this is the best conversation I've ever had on my career. I think it really, like, no disrespect, I'm very gracious to anyone who's ever taken enough interest in me to like want to interview me or something. But I mean, I feel like this covers as many bases as I'd like people to know about. So thank you all for listening, and just continue to just check out what we're doing. I mean, what I'm doing is what he's doing right now. So if you like what he's doing, probably like what I'm doing. If you don't like what he's doing, probably think I'm a jerk. All I got to say is, if you don't like me, it's all good. I don't care. You get to a certain point in your life. I'm 32 years old, and a switch goes off, like, I don't know, like 29, 30, 31, something. Switch goes off, you're like, oh, wow, I actually don't care what people think anymore. I used to say I didn't, but I definitely did.
Right.
And I'm at the point now where it's like, this is me. You either like it, you don't like it. I'm open to changing some things. Like, I'm not sitting here and saying I'm the best. You should all be like me. But I think we've all got a story. We've all got successes. We've all got failures. I think what the real mark of a man is how you let those things define you.
Yeah.
You got to keep it rolling.
What a way to end. As we will keep it rolling on to the next episode of Conversations, on to the next step in the journey of Moles and Mel, on to greener pastures, on to whatever. Oh, on to the next on to the next one. Swiss Beats, Swiss Beats.
Well, somebody bring me back some money, please.
Wow. Well, I think we're done here, folks. This has been Conversations episode 3 with Lyle. Hope you enjoyed it. You can find him pretty much wherever you can find me.
Yeah, they don't need to find me. They'll just keep paying attention to what he's doing, and my hand is in it. So,
wow.
There you go.
All right.
Oh, and if you like, I guess, like, nah, actually, nah. All right. Bye, guys.
All right. Peace.